After a disappointing loss to Everton, 3-2 loss to Everton at St. James's Park, Newcastle United need a comeback. And who better than to do it against is the old enemy, Man United at St. James's Park tomorrow, Wednesday night under the floodlights. Can Newcastle react and get a result? Find out right here on Toon Tactics TV, folks.
Oh, brilliant from Schär. And now Murphy could take on the shot. Fabian Schär
All right, folks. I hope you guys are all well. I hope you guys are all blessed. And wherever you are, wherever you're doing, you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're right here with me. So, guys, God bless you for that. Always encouraging to see you guys watching, liking, subscribing, sharing the channel. All your engagements, all your posts are absolutely phenomenal. Now, for tonight's show, I'm super excited. Not only do we have two very special guests and friends of the channel, Mitch and Rich. They're not a duo, but it just happens to be that they got names that rhyme. But Mitch, obviously from Where the Owls Sleep, and Rich from Red Devil United TV. So they'll be joining us a little bit later in the show. We'll be doing the reaction. The first one we'll be doing is the reaction to the Everton game. Lots of highlights I'm going to look at. God willing, I don't get any strikes or anything like that. I will slow it down. We'll see how it goes. But we're going to go straight to the highlights of that one. Then we're going to do the preview with Rich and Mitch for the Man United game with a tactical breakdown. And with a bit of some news and stuff, I'm gonna go over towards the end of the show, hopefully with Mitch if he's sticking around as well. So lots and lots to discuss, lots and lots to do. But guys, I want to get right into it. Now, typically, as you guys know, we go through the stats, we go through the overall view, we do these things. These things are important, and I enjoy doing them. But I wanted to change up a little bit for this show tonight, and I wanted to talk about what we're actually seeing. I want to talk about the game itself and what we're actually seeing. Now, I watched the game back twice now, mainly the second half and about 50, 60 minutes of the first half, 50, 60 minutes of the second half, and bits and bobs of the second half in terms of watching it twice. Obviously, I watched the whole game, but I rewatched the game. So as I was doing it, I had tons and tons of highlights, but I can only fit in so much. But what I've done essentially is I've fit the highlights in and around the goals themselves, both from Everton and ourselves. So we'll see how many we can cover. Mainly because I haven't quite even worked out what it is, guys. There's good things, there's bad things. I think it's the good, bad, and the ugly. I think that's what it is, guys. I think it's the good, bad, and the ugly. And it's all rammed into one game, which is against Everton. And so I'm going to go through it with you guys. I'm really keen to get you guys put your perspectives, your views. So make sure that you speak, you engage in the chat. I'm going to go through clip by clip. I don't have an overall claim just yet, more that it's good, bad, and ugly all at the same time. And I think it's going to be around individual decisions, good, bad, and ugly again, and mistakes that do cost us, good decisions that do get us goals as well. But it's all in one game. And I guess what I'm asking from you guys is, where do you see the improvement? Where do you see we need to improve if you were to identify things? But also, can we improve? And what would we need to do? Is it extra training sessions? Is it change of personnel, tactics? Do let me know. All right, so guys, what I'm showing you guys on the screen is this is the bit. Hopefully 17th. I'm just looking. Hopefully, I got my timers right. But this is not too far. Let me forward it just a little bit. So this is us. This is the bit just before we concede the corner to Everton that eventually leads to the goal. I wanted to highlight this part because it shows the good, bad, and the ugly, all in these couple of phases. And I wanted to kind of discuss it with you. All right, so right at the top of the bit, you see Newcastle here are pressing. We're doing well to press. Everton are, a limited team. God bless them, but they're a limited team. And look, they won the game. I'm not kind of saying anything. They know they're a limited team, right? So they're not the greatest at playing out from the back, and we're very good at pressing. So you see us pressing. We're cutting off all channels. Garner here's saying, "Come on, pass me the ball." Dewsbury Hall wants none of it. He's looking to pass to Tarkowski. We've already got 4 versus 3 players here. Obviously, unless you're counting Pickford here as well. So we're closing down players. We're pushing them back. Tarkowski, you're going to see him about long ball it. You're going to see him launch it. You're going to see him long ball it in a minute because there's absolutely no point. He's not going to get it across to Branthwaite there. Is calling for the ball because he hasn't got that level. He hasn't got that confidence to do it, right? Good. So we've locked them down, closing down. Woltemade here. Ramsey here, Gordon, Tonali, all doing their job. So Tarkowski's going to say, I'm just going to launch it because there's no point. Pickford told him to launch it as well. Now, what we're going to see in a minute, right? We're going to see right in a minute, we're going to see really, so again, that was the good, right? You're going to see a bit of a good in a minute as well. So here we go. So Tarkowski's launched it, right? Here's the right now it's good, but it's about to go into bad. Now, Tarkowski's launched it. Beto is coming towards Beto. Chow is doing what he's supposed to do, right? He's the one that's engaging, who's pressing up, right? I'm not sure how Burn got to this part of the field. I think Burn was actually marking. It might have been. It looks like Dewsbury Hall here. Marking Dewsbury Hall, but so Chow comes out to meet Beto. Now, what happens in long balls, which is good, it kind of goes into a triangle. This is typical, right? When you get how to defend long balls, there's a proactive defender who goes out to meet with the ball and whoever the opposing player is, and you either have 2 players, but there is 2 fullbacks or 2 centre backs on either flank of that centre back. So if the ball drops to the left, you got 1 fullback there covering to the right, 1 fullback there covering, right? So this is what's going to happen positionally. You're about to see Chow go 1-on-1 with Beto with that setup, with the positional setup here, right? Now, behind him is, you can see Hall and you can see Trippier. So the setup is there. This is how you're supposed to defend long balls, right? So that's the good. However, Everton, and obviously Trippier and Hall are there to cover the runners in behind. However, the runners being McNeil and Ndahi and Dewsbury Hall's about to join in are not running in behind. They're trying to stay in and around to be available options for Beto. Beto and Chow are in 1v1 situations. Now, Chow had a mixed game in my opinion. He didn't win this duel. You're going to see Beto pass it off in a minute. He didn't win this duel, but it's fine. He's still meant to attempt and go for it, which is what he's meant to do. The bit that I'm disappointed by, we'll get into the bad part, is Dan Burn here. Now, it looks as if Dan Burn's going to go towards Beto. He's not. He's actually going to run past Chow and take up a position where Chow would have been here, just behind, in between Trippier and Hall. Now, by doing that, and instead of cutting off the channel to either McNeil or Dewsbury Hall, what he allows Beto to do is to pass the ball off to literally 3 persons here to get a run at us. So look, Burn runs past. I don't know why he runs past. He could have marked McNeil. He could have stayed where Dewsbury Hall is. Probably not in Dye because it's a bit too far, but you can see Dewsbury Hall can't believe his luck. He's like, Beto, give me the ball, give me the ball. As Burn runs past, now in this situation, because he's run past, he's left Chow momentarily in a 1 versus 3 situation. Now, if Chow got this ball, obviously we're on a runner about to go forward, but he doesn't. Beto manages to get his pass off to, I think, Dewsbury Hall does a one-touch pass to McNeil and they run at us. Burn didn't need to come back here in the 3. He didn't need to do it. And I think that was just a bad decision. See, so Chow was about to go at Dewsbury Hall. Dewsbury Hall had one easy pass, and that was to McNeil. Had Burn stayed where McNeil is or blocked off Dewsbury Hall, what would have then happened is then you would have had, you probably even, the better decision would have been to block off McNeil. Chow would have gone at Dewsbury Hall, who would have been left in a 1v1 situation, or he would have been forced to pass out wide to Indahi and then left, and then Trippier would have had to be in a 1v1 situation, 1v1 or 2 kind of situation, but away from the goal. Instead, what happens here is McNeil gets a clean run at goal with Dewsbury in support. And now it's a 3-on-3, 4-on-3 situation. Everybody's having to scatter back, right? Now, even still, regardless of this point of what happens, we still have an opportunity to clear the ball. Beto's breaking his neck to get into the next half of the pitch. There's some space here for Dewsbury Hall. Okay. I'm hoping that there's communication here between Tonali and Chow for Beto, right? Tonali should be aware of what's about to happen, a possible cutback. He is. He stops, but he's ball watching. There's 2 versus 1 people here. There's Chow here. Hall should be here on McNeil, but he isn't. So, and that he gets a little pass off. It goes off for a corner. Fine, whatever. This corner is what leads off to the goal itself. And we'll just quickly talk about the goal because right behind him, the replays are going to show us, but he gets ahead of Tonali. I want to see why he gets ahead of Tonali. That's the thing. He gets ahead of Tonali inexplicably, should I say. Behind, he just gets the run on him. He stalls and he runs on him and he gets the run up on Tonali. 9 out of 10 times, I don't know if Branthwaite scores that, but he does. And it's 1-0. So like I said, it's a mixture of good, bad, and good and bad rather than ugly here. The ugly was the part of what do you call it? What led up to the goal. Now, let me show the next part I want to show. Let me know what you guys' thoughts are on that. Now, let me show you guys the highlights that led to the Ramsey goal, because there's a bit of good in there, in my opinion. And as always, guys, do like, share, and subscribe. Let me get to it. I think we've got a message in the chat, so I'll get to that in a moment. But let me get to the highlight itself. All right, so we're about too far. All right, we'll get it here. I don't know where it exactly is, but it's getting up to it. The lead up to the goal. Big up to my man, Register Kev. God bless you, sir. Always a blessing to see you. Let me put my phone is on vibrate. Why is it still ringing? Right. Register says, Philip, can you please roll over for us tomorrow? I have a bad feeling. No can do, sir. Why do you have a bad feeling? Because the first one, I watched Big Six, and Saeed said the same thing about, he also said that he's got a bad feeling. Why have my United fans got bad feelings about this game? I'll be really curious to know. Let me know, Register Kev, if you can hear me. All right, so this is the lead up to the Ramsey goal. Now, I'm going to give Joe Linton a lot of credit here, and Tonali in a moment because he gets the assist, but I'm going to give Joe Linton a lot of credit. I know that people aren't happy with the first 30 minutes because Joe Linton was on the left, and me bigging up Joe Linton here is not me saying, ooh, let's keep him on the left. He's a left winger, but me just saying he did some good work on the left, and he operated in essentially the way he could. And maybe, to be fair, because this is around the 31 minute of the game, maybe this is where Howe made a little bit of changes, because actually you see Hall more on the left here and Joe Linton central. You are about to see Joe Linton move to the central side here. Now we're pressing Everton, right? We're getting at them. I think it's Tonali and Gordon. We get at them. Hall does well to get the ball here. Dunn does his lovely, lovely turns that he can do. Brilliant turns, and puts Newcastle in on an offensive position. It's like a 4v4 position here, just by them. Well done to Tonali for winning it back and get it on here. So you got 2-on-2. You got Woltemade here. Please do keep a look out on Woltemade right here, and Hall and Gordon. We get ourselves into an offensive position now. Joe Linton, to his credit, is looking for support and looking for options. He can't get it off, so he decides to hold on to it. Now, by holding on to it, what Joe Linton does really, really well, he takes out 2 Everton defenders with him, and that has a bit of a ripple effect because it opens up space for Ramsey here. He draws 2 here, which pulls Garner over to the other side here because Woltemade is here as well, which then leaves space for Ramsey. So really, really good here from Joe Linton. He uses his back, his strength, his very well to hold them off. It's not, Jeremy Doku-esque or anything like that, but it does enough to attract the interest of 2 Everton players here, which you can already see the ripple effect as Garner shifted over, and now Ramsey's free. And I think they have it covered because Hall is here as well, is taking up positions here, but Ramsey's free. Keep a lookout for him because Ramsey's free. And actually, this is how we scored a little bit how we scored our second goal as well. Now, Garner, he's about to realize that Ramsey's going to get the ball. Now, this is the part that Ramsey I really, really love. You're going to see it here. Is what we call the half turn, getting the ball on the half turn. Now, for me, I'm going to say 2 things. For me, he is probably the second best player behind Bruno Guimarães in our team who can do this half turn really, really well. And what makes this half turn really, really good is that this one actually isn't very clean. So he doesn't take it first. He doesn't scuff it, but he gets underneath his foot a little bit, but he very gently moves it on with his left foot onto his right, and he sets it up so neatly with such good technique and so quickly that you're about to see him gives an opportunity to get the shot off just before Gardner reaches him. Now, Woltemade, to his credit, says, Tonali, don't pass it to me, pass it to Ramsey, who's free. We've worked the space. Credit against Joe Linton for working the space. He says, Woltemade says, pass to Ramsey. Ramsey says, pass it to me. Gordon's taken up this position here. Garner's just about to clock. He's just clocked. Oh my days! Ramsey's free. He's off on his bike. He's on his bike. So Ramsey, from this point on, Ramsey's got about 2 seconds, maximum 3 seconds, probably 2 seconds to get his shot off. And this is the clean turn. This is about to see the really good ball from Tonali. But look at the turn. Bam! Now you're going to see in the replay. He just hits it off his left. And he has to force it forward a little bit, but he does it so well and such good technique. He's got low center of gravity that he's able to pull it off. Fortunate with the block, yes, but if he does not make that, if his technique isn't so clean and what's the word I'm gonna, because if he's not, how do I say it? The way he recovers it so quickly. I'm going to show because on the replay it shows it a little bit more even. So you're going to see it here. Can you spot it here? Come on, guys. Shows the replay a couple of times. Let's see what I'm talking about. It's a lot more clean here. And by the way, folks, I'm going to include our friend of the channel, Mr. Mitch, is about to come on and join us on with the highlights. We'll talk about the show as well. As always, guys, incredible insight, incredible friend of the channel, always available when you need him to come on. And I know he's always on high demand on this channel. So let me introduce and let me big up my man Mitch. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. How's it going? You been good?
Living life to the full, sir. Living life to the full. I don't know if you've caught on. I've gone into the highlights. I'm kind of doing the good, bad, and the uglies of everything. But I was just talking about the Ramsey goal, right? And this is why I'm loving him in terms of what he's doing. and the technique. I just want to finish this off and get your thoughts on it as well. I've just covered the first goal and what led up to it and everything else, but I'm kind of going through the highlights and doing the good, bads, and the uglies, if anything. And I feel like
Yeah.
I didn't know why I did it, but what I think I've come to find out is the game, the all in one game. You had the good, bad, and ugly in all in one game. Really, I think that's why I'm doing it. But
Yeah, it was a very mixed bag of a game, wasn't it?
exactly,
Strange game.
exactly. But so I was just saying that. First of all, Joe Linton did really well on the left side there. I'm not saying that he's a left winger, but I was just saying he did really well on the left side, drawing two Everton defenders of him. And he got this pass off to Tonali. Tonali's about to get the pass off to Ramsey. And Ramsey's about 2 seconds to get his feet in order to get the ball off. But his technique is so good that even when he misses up a little bit, he's still able to get the shot off. Now, Garner's got 2 seconds to get, and there's slow-mo, but he's literally got about 2 seconds before Garner gets to him. Now, typically, he would have loved to just take it. And I was saying, I don't know if you agree with this, Mitch. I was saying that I feel that when it comes to the half turn, I think Ramsey's only second to Bruno Guimarães in our squad when it comes to the half turn. That's how good. That's how good I think he is on it. I don't know if you can name anybody else or what your thoughts are on that are, but on the half turn, I think Ramsey's probably second to Bruno Guimarães.
I'd agree. I'd actually think Ramsey's potentially slightly better in the attacking third with it.
Mm-hmm.
Anything sort of in our own half, in and around the halfway, I'd agree with Bruno. But when you get in and around the box, the way Ramsey moves the ball, like you're going to see here, it's not always about the first touch and turn out. He likes to take a touch, which can then draw a man in, and then he takes a second touch very quickly based on what he wants to do, which makes him harder to judge in the final third, I feel.
Yeah. I totally agree. You're going to see it here. It's about taking a half turn. And what's so good about it is I think he would have loved to take it just a little bit more cleaner with the right foot, so he can, by the second touch, he's able to shoot. But because the shot's just a little bit off, he has to take it with this third. But because it's so clean, he's still able to do it just before. Now, Garner's bearing down, and you can see it here. He gets it. He wants to be able to get it, but it kind of bounces back to his left foot here. But he's so good that he gently still gets it back. You're going to see him tap it back. Now, Garner's on him. A lot of guys are flopping at this side already, right? You're going to see it tap it back with his left foot really nicely. Get his body in front in case Garner wants to foul him. This is all within that 2 seconds that he does it. Gets his body in front, gets it off again with his right foot. So he actually had four touches. I thought he had 3. And then he's able to get his shot off. And it looks like Garner was too slow. It wasn't that. It's just that I feel like Ramsey's technique and movement was just so much more better. So that brings it to, I'm going to get to, that brings it to 1-1 for about 90 seconds. Now, before we get to the next highlight, Mitch, I'm going to see to the chat. I'm going to get back to the highlights in a moment. Register Kev. So I just asked Register Kev, because I don't know if you've noticed this, Mitch, that I feel like a few Man United fans are really scared about this game for some reason. Register Kev says, horrible record there, St. James Park. Players look tired after our last game. You're joking, Register Kev. You man are tired. We've played 15 more games than you. Quick turnaround. You must be. I reckon you're trolling me at this stage. Quick turnaround, and simply, I just can't. I just think we're due a loss soon. Okay. Also, he says everyone turns to prime Barcelona against us, especially you guys. You know what? You know what I love about Man United. Man United fans are so self-obsessed. Like, we turn into prime Barcelona. we're just a good team. But well, we won against Everton, to be honest. But I see what you're saying. I'm surprised that you're worried about your players' fitness as a quick turnaround when we've played 15 more. Like, you guys literally have played 27. This is going to be a 28th game. This is going to be our 46th game. I don't know if you saw the recent, just the records come out recently. There's no team currently in the Premier League who's played more games than Newcastle United. So yeah, that's where we're at. But yeah, man, Mitch, I'm going to try and get myself to the next highlight, which is the lead up to. This is the lead up to the Beto goal. We're going to talk about Pope in a minute, but while I get myself to that part, I don't know if you. I haven't had a chance to catch up with you on really kind of on the game. Obviously, we talked a little bit on WhatsApp, but what's your kind of overall thoughts and feelings in the game?
It's just a really frustrating one because it's another game where you look at it as much as I didn't watch the game live, I've watched back in sections. If I miss a loss, I don't really tend to watch back the full game. I'll watch back in bits and the extended highlights, and then check out another few more passages of play.
We're here for a fun time, not a long time.
Yeah, exactly. And I was actually in Sheffield with a few mates. I went to Sheffield Wednesday against Southampton.
Right.
And at halftime, I looked at the score and I said to someone there, if we don't bring on Botman at halftime, I feel we lose today.
Right.
Because I listened to like the first half hour and it just sounded like one of them games that there was just so many sort of mistakes and no real leadership. And we just needed to be a little bit more solid at the back. And people might start to feel I'm running a bit of a narrative on Dan Burn and Nick Pope, but these two really feel like they're right at the end of the timeline for me. Because Burn will put in colossal looking performances against guys like Erling Haaland, but then make minor errors that still cost us goals at the same time. So it kind of gets hidden. And Nick Pope at the weekend,
That's it.
Like you can't keep conceding goals like that. There's got to be 4, 5, 6 this season that you can look at and you can just directly pin it on. It's not good enough from your goalkeeper. And maybe it's tiredness, maybe it's fatigue, maybe it's a mentality thing. But to concede twice within 2 minutes of scoring an equaliser at home is just simply unacceptable. I don't know what it comes down to, but for it to happen twice in the same game is just pure madness for me. The first time, okay, sometimes that happens. The second time, you get an equaliser with 15 minutes to go. You're like, right, we go and win this now. And then within 90 seconds, you're behind again. And it's just like, what's it all about? And I've been looking at stats and I've been looking at what people have been saying and reading loads of stuff about the game. And loads of people starting to dig out Howe again after they disappeared a few weeks back when we went on that nice little run. The fact of the matter is, Howe has been coaching wins more than we've been getting wins.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's not just XG, it's from every metric across the board, attacking, defensive wise. We're better than teams in most metrics in most games.
Yeah.
The problem we have is our goalkeeper. Neither of our goalkeepers really have been up to scratch for us. And we haven't got a stone cold killer up front anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're the two things that have been killing us this season. And as much as I didn't watch the whole game, it just smacked of this again. Mistakes at the back, not having that stone cold killer or that fear factor. No one really properly fears any of our front three anymore. Whereas when you've got Isak up there, people are already on edge thinking, yeah,
they know
half a yard, he's going to score.
They know. And I don't disagree. And I don't care if people don't like XG or not. I don't know if you saw recently there was an XG table brought out. I don't know if it was data and B, but essentially it's the one where it's the XG which includes XG conceded and XG scored. And Newcastle, according to XG, would be third in the table.
Yeah.
So
I get some people don't like XG, but if you're using it as your main point in an argument, it's probably not the best thing to go off. But if you're using all of the other stats that come around XG, like big chances, how much possession you've got, where you've got your possession, where you're winning the ball back, how many shots you have on your own goal, all stuff like that. If you add all of that together, we're better than teams in most games. It's not just XG. It's not just we're just creating loads of chances or having loads of shots and getting high XG. We're doing everything better than most teams in most games this season.
No, I agree. And if anything, you're going to see it in this goal as well. So this is the Nick Pope goal. I have to call it Nick Pope because I can't even call it the Beto goal because it was a wonderful setup from Pope, unfortunately. So this is obviously from left to right. Now, obviously, Everton are attacking us. You can see Pope in goal there. Everton, there's nothing overwhelming about Everton, even from this position, right? They're playing very narrow. The ball's flicking. You're going to see the ball flicking here, flicking there, but you're not going to see Newcastle in any imminent danger. In fact, the point where Everton have to pass it back. Now, Brantford really changes things up for Everton, I have to say, because of his ability on the ball. He does give them options and ability to pass for the ball. So you're going to see him get it to Ghana. Now, we're not doing too bad. We're doing the right things here. We're reacting. You can see the way that each player is trying to close people down. Woltemade is not the quickest player in the world, but he's closing people down. Then you can see, obviously, now Joe Linton's playing more centrally. By this time, Howe said, no, I have to, I have to put him more centrally, and Gordon on the left here. This is a good ball from Tarkowski, by the way. This is a mad touch from McNeil, by the way. Took it away from Howe. You're going to see. Did you see that?
Yeah,
that was crazy. A crazy touch, by the way. So fine. Now it's like 2-on-2, 2-on-3, 3-on-3 in this position. Fine. Really good touch. Tonali's about to, I didn't see Tonali. Tonali's about to close him down. Chow is there. We're all in a good position. It's snuffed out. It's about to be snuffed out, right? No real problems here. You've obviously got Ndiaye there, but you got Trippier closing down the ball. Now the ball's about to come to McNeil. Now this isn't the first time that I've seen Tonali players kind of bypass Tonali a little bit here. And I feel like he ball watches a little bit too much. He did it for the corner against Brantwaite, and he did it in other areas as well. So he's really kind of ball watching here, and he can't see. He at no time at all does he check his shoulder to see what Beto can see in front of him. Now at this point, I have to say also, Beto has two options. He's got Dewsbury Hall and he's got McNeil, and he could possibly have Armstrong here, right? So they get where they need to get to really, really quickly before the Newcastle players. So that's a little bit of a disappointment there, but it's still fine. What's not fine is what we're about to see in a minute, right? McNeil, despite his options, says, I'll have a go. And you know why he has a go? Because I know prior to this game, Moyes said, you know what? Pope's a bit shaky. I have a go outside the box and see what happens. Because I don't see him doing it otherwise, right? He has this. I don't know what happens here, right? I don't know what happens here. Because Pope's body is going in one direction. His hands, and I know it's a little bit blurry, look like they're going into the one direction as well. They're all going to the right. If anything, they're going away from the goal. If this happened in a country where we know players get bribed to lose games, I'd say Pope was taking a bet. But I'm not going to say that. It's a footballing error. The other thing, though, is Beto is the only one that's alive to it. I think Hall is there, Trippier is there, but then they're all thinking he's going to save it. I mean, for you, Mitch, yeah, would you as a defender still be saying, like, even though my keeper should get this, I'm still gonna, maybe get into Beto's way or mark it. I don't know what. Do you have any sort of blame for the defenders in this situation for not reacting quick enough? Maybe
not at this point. The blame comes from the defenders a little bit previous. I felt the positioning and the way they dropped back into a weird shape where three of them were all covering Beto was odd. Yeah. But from this position, this is bread and butter. As bread and butter as it gets. Mm-hmm. Even if you're that unsure of catching it, just push it out towards the corner flag. Doesn't even have to go out for a corner. Just push it towards the corner. Do anything other than what he does. Anything else.
You're going to see it. You're going to see it when they play it. You're going to see, as soon as Pope does this, look out for Tonali. His hands go to his head. Trippier raises his hands. I think Willock here as well. You're going to see absolute shock. Nobody can believe it. I don't know how this part happens, Mitch.
But even there, just before you press again, Beto's given up now. He's now given up. He's now not running in anymore. He was in a running position a second ago. Now he's like, he's going to get that.
Yeah.
He looks like he's not. He stopped running.
Yeah. Exactly. And so you can see, then it's like, oh, there it is. Tonali's about to put his... Tonali's there. He's got his hands up. He's like, I can't believe it. And bearing in mind, folks, this is less than 90 seconds after we've equalized for the 1-1. What's your thoughts on it? And I'm gonna, before I get to Joe Linton's going, folks that have just joined us, we've got Mitch in the house. We're going to have Rich in the house, and they're not a dynamic duo. We do have Rich from Red Devil United TV coming on in about 10 minutes as well. So do look out for it, guys. Let me know you guys your thoughts and feelings about the game. I'm showing the highlights, Mitch. So while I'm trying to get to the Joe Linton goal, I mean, what do you think? My question to you is, what do you think Howe does from here? And I was thinking about this the last time, especially I think it was the Marseille game. It was the Marseille game that I'm thinking about, right? Because what surprised me a little bit about this, a little bit tangent, but still, is Howe actually still went on about that game like for a couple different post conferences. Like that game bugged him. That game really, really bugged him, and he said that we were in the ascendancy in that game, and essentially, had we won that game, Mitch, we wouldn't have had to have the two qualifying. We would have qualified very, very comfortably.
Yeah,
very comfortably, right? Here's my thoughts. I want to get yours. Is the reason that time Howe didn't, in my view, put Ramsdale straight away in? I think it's because Ramsdale wasn't doing very well in training. That's just my speculation. That's my theory.
Okay.
Rather than the whole loyalty factor. Two questions. Do you expect Pope between the sticks against Man United? And B, why? Why would you expect him between the sticks against Man United?
I wouldn't. I don't expect him to be there.
Right.
This would be probably the first time ever that if I look at a team sheet tomorrow and Pope is in goal, that I'm going to be 100% sure that Eddie Howe has got it wrong.
Right.
Normally, I trust in, he picks a team that feels like the best team he feels is going to win the game. Tomorrow night, it can't be Pope. Like, stuff like that is just unacceptable. Like, the Marseille one, error of judgment, maybe. He underestimated Aubameyang's pace. Maybe thought the ball was coming a bit quicker. That is as bread and butter as it gets for a goalkeeper. Whatever reason that has happened at the weekend needs to be like, right, he's just not ready to play right now. Like there's something fundamentally wrong with Nick Pope for that to happen at the weekend. It's not like it was like even the one against City. People are like, yeah, maybe he could have done better. Maybe he could have done. Maybe the shot was just that quick. It was past him before he reacted. But there's no excuse for what happened at the weekend, and there has to be some kind of like repercussion to it, so to speak. You have to kind of say, look, there's like errors like that can't run. Like you make an error, a mistake that bad at work, there's a reprimand. So reprimand has to be now sits on the bench tomorrow night. It has to be. I can't see how it can be anything else unless Ramsdale either isn't training, isn't professional whatsoever, or is, like you say, might be terrible in training.
Yeah. Even into Adrian Pickett here, God bless him. I recommend Mitch. Well, not unless you want to have heart palpitations, but look back at that Marseille game. I did do the review on it, and I was angry when I was doing it. It was, I'd almost say it's the Marseille game is the one might even, no, it doesn't edge it, but it's on par. It's on par with it because Chow was there. Pope never needed to come out. Chow and Aubameyang in a foot race. It's, 35-year-old Aubameyang against Chow. You didn't need to come out, bro. You didn't. Even Chow was saying, why? Why did that even happen? Anyway,
Chow's reaction as soon as he sees Pope, he's just like, "What?"
Yeah. I remember that. James says, "God bless you, James. Good to see you." Oh, by the way, let me see. God bless you, Adrian. Good to see you. And all he says, James, I mate Phil, who's a little delayed having dinner? Probably me. Petras, good to see you. God bless you. Always good to see you on here. Hi, that's classic Pope diving to the right low. I thought you were going to say dive into the wrong direction. Petra says, even against City, first goal, oh, to remember now, he got a hand on it, should have kept it also long range to the right. No, yes, and it was also against somebody else. You reminded
West
me,
Ham.
Petrus. It was against West Ham, but he also did it against somebody else. Was it Brentford? There was somebody else. He got a hand to it against somebody else as well. And I'm like, oh, come on, man.
Yeah.
And you know what's frustrating? It is and it isn't. I don't know if you saw the Arsenal game or if you see any of the games with Man City, even Pickford today in this game. Like, how can we, hand on heart, can we say, have Pope or Ramsdale made at least one save this season where we're like, I can't believe he saved that?
I think Ramsdale's got one.
Maybe, yeah. Okay.
Pretty sure Ramsdale's got one. He's higher to his right hand side. It must have been a cup game because I don't think he really
must
plays
have
in
been.
the league. But
must
it was a pretty special save.
Right. I have to remember.
In fact, I think Ramsdale's actually got a couple, you know, because I remember one against Tottenham in the League Cup as well.
Oh yeah.
Low down to his left.
Yeah.
As soon as the player struck it, I was like, damn, and he saved it. I was like, oh, okay, decent.
No, I remember. Okay, I won't be too harsh then. James says Pope seems to be more of a medical issue now. Yeah, he's old, and then an ability issue because he cannot land comfortably on his right side anymore. So it sounds like the Bravka in his final days. Petra says, how far Aiden Harris is? Rudy, haven't seen him play ever. This is when we go to the kids. Vladicamus apparently cooking in Spain. Yeah, that's Spain when it's hot and it's sunny. Also, what happened to Woodman? Woodman wasn't good enough in my opinion. Was such a huge prospect. He sold him or did not review. I've seen Woodman live. He's too small, man. He's too small.
Yeah, for me, goalkeepers, they're one of the few players that you have to kind of be at the game to see how good they are.
Yes.
Because you can see saves and you can see their goal kicks and you can see their distribution because the camera's focused on them. It's what they do when you're never going to see them on the camera that makes them good goalkeepers a lot of the time. It's the starting positions. It's the way they move before the ball comes anywhere near them, the way they come
how
up.
the players feel around them, isn't it, as well? Yeah. Like you can tell. You can tell. I wanted to show this one last highlight before Rich gets here. And this is the lead up to the Murphy goal because, again, Mr. Joe Linton does a very good job. And whether I know that you would. This is why I kind of have to kick myself, but sometimes I don't have any time to always watch like the game's second time around because people say never play Jordan to the left, never play Jordan to the left. I agree, by the way. We can't play him as a left winger, but he's been involved in both goals. And he's done good work on that left-hand side. What you're going to see here in a moment, you can see Joe Linton here, Mitch. Right here. I don't know if my cursor. You see the space just in behind him. Look out for it because he's about to make movements there. Another credit also to Willock, who actually draws the defenders with him. So you're going to see Willock go. I don't know if you can see my mouse cursor going round.
Yeah, because you see the cursor moving.
Yeah. So you're going to see Willock kind of move in this direction. You kind of before the ball comes to them, they're kind of moving in and out and trying to create the space. And you're going to see Hall move into this position here. He's the one that eventually plays the ball into the space here. But the main thing is to look at how they work it to create this space here where they cross it from in a moment. So Tonali picks it up, fine. He looks up, tries to see what's going on. You're going to see various movements towards him and away from him. Hall does well to kind of, again, to be on the edge of danger here as always. He makes, I think it's Jack O'Brien here, or Jack O'Brien. He forces him to a position where he could come out, he might not come out, and it does it really well. So he has to come out now. Now Joe Linton sees the space here, and he's about to work it really well to get into there. And he stops. I don't know who the player is with him, is this 43, 44, but he stops, and then he goes in for it. He's about to see it in a moment. They've kept it there, but he's about to work that space in the moment. Willock comes out, Joe Linton comes out. They know what space they want to get. They want to get into the space in behind here, and they do it really well. Here we go. Boom. Gone. He does it really, really well here. And this is what you want your eights to do. He's got the option of hitting it straight into the danger zones here. Either way, really. But it does this really, really good comeback. keeps the ball as you can see that he's not as good as Ramsey, right? Because he's chopped it and it's gone behind him. Thankfully, he's got enough space to do this. He looks up to his credit and he can see Murphy again on the edge of this box here, doing really, really well, and gets a good setup to him where they finish it off. So it's a really, really well made goal. And it highlights the good and the bad and everything, even with Joe Linton, where the way he works the space to get in behind the goal is really, really good. Could he have hit it first time? Possibly. I would like to see more of those, but you're not going to blame him too much because he ends up getting the assist. But even with the chop back, it goes behind him. Right? So thankfully nobody's there. But then he still managed to get a good layoff to Murphy, who finishes it off. I mean, I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Mitch, but and as I said, it kind of, you're getting the good, bads, and the uglies in all in that one clip for Newcastle. But yeah, I don't know if you want to add anything to that and kind of on the game itself before we move on to Man United.
It's just more frustration with not capitalizing yet again, to be honest, because it felt a little bit like Brentford, where we had a chance to capitalize on what is potentially poor weekend for everybody else for a home game against a team that I feel we should beat, and we did some really good stuff throughout the game. But then there's just a few moments of stupidity or naivety, whatever you want to call it, that have just cost us yet again, and it's just frustrating. It's just massively frustrating.
You actually reminded me when I was in the highlights for this, because I wanted to show the third goal. All I see, because Everton's equalizer came so quick, you know, when the screen is in between highlights of still showing the second goal, by the time it goes back, you can see then Everton in the attack and scoring. So even on the replays, you can't see, because it's Gordon who gets dispossessed, right, like in our own half, and then Everton tear us apart, essentially. A really good movement with Tierney Barry, actually. So you can't see why Gordon allows himself to get dispossessed in the first. Why is he in that particular moment right there? So literally, it happens so quick. It literally happens from the kickoff itself.
Yeah.
Three times within this game. It's insane. And we worked so hard to get this goal. The relief on the players' faces, Joe Linton, Murphy, all those guys. How on earth we allowed ourselves to get into that position again was insane. So go on, Mitch.
I was just going to say, yes, just not. It's not good enough twice in the same game to just have a lapse in that way, to concede so quickly after scoring a pretty decent goal, to be fair. Exactly.
Well, folks, we're probably just want to conclude on that is the good, bad, and the ugly. That Everton review game. I agreed with Mitch what he says at the beginning was, despite all of this, and it's going to be crazy saying this, yeah, but it's true. Eddie Howe does set us up to win. He does set us up to win. But from just observing and watching this game, the only reason we conceded literally those 3 goals, not 1, but 3 goals, was individual errors. It's the only reason. It's not, Everton didn't come here to rip, they weren't doing diagonal balls and ripping us apart with some, getting in between the lines. We were doing actually a little bit of that. It was individual errors, and it's super, super frustrating. So hopefully we'll clear all that up before we get into the Man United game. And so before we get into the Man United game, I'll see our special guest, and I hope Rich didn't hear any of that, because to give him some ammo there to kind of, this is where we are. We could win this here. But guys, as you guys remember, we've had Rich here tons of times. Well, not tons of times. I've had a couple of times before, but he's been absolutely amazing. Runs an incredible channel. I'm really, really pleased to have him on. And I always remember this, is that I remember when when I first heard the news of Diogo Jota's passing, it was on Rich's channel. I was watching his channel live, and it came onto that show. And I thought Rich handled that moment and that situation absolutely brilliantly in terms of that and everything else. Like, it was a mad, incredible moment in terms of what happened, and God rest his soul. But He's an incredible content creator. I do really encourage you guys to get onto this channel. So without further ado, allow me to welcome Rich to the channel. Big up, Rich. How you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm good. Thank you for that very kind introduction. Very kind introduction. But I'm happy to be here. I don't get invited on lots of channels, to be honest. And I was thinking that this is probably actually a good time, isn't it? Because Man United, I see you've got like crisis versus momentum. Most of the time last season, we would have been like, honestly, I was looking at that when I first joined backstage. I saw that and thought we would have been crisis any time up until the last couple of months. We would have been crisis, and I was thinking we're momentum now. We're momentum. Wow, it's great.
Life is good.
Yeah, to be honest, actually, as like a fan that's watched United for decades, I was kind of like relaxed before things were happening because I thought there was some of the signs were there, but I think the last couple of months I'm really happy with what I'm seeing. Like really positive about the direction we're moving in. Let's hope it carries on. That's all I can say.
On that, actually, I was going to ask you a good couple. I've got tons of questions to ask you, Rich. But first of all, I don't know if you've met Mitch, but welcome to if you guys don't work together.
Pleased to meet you, Mitch. I don't think we've met before.
No, we haven't. Pleasure to meet you, mate.
Yeah, this is confirmation to everyone else that Rich and Mitch are not a dynamic duo. That this is the first time. This is the first time they've met. It's just that the names, the rhyme, it just goes really well together. Really, I should have worked on a thumbnail towards that. Now that I'm speaking to you, I'm like, I should have worked on that a little bit more. But regardless, so Rich, before we get into kind of the nitty and the gritty, a bit of kind of lineups and tactical breakdowns, I've got a couple of questions, and I'm sure Mitch does, around Man United and what's happening. You kind of, obviously, I haven't spoken to you since Amorim has left, and obviously Carrick's taken over. And I've had debates with people about Amorim. And this is not me saying that Amorim should have stayed. This is me saying that Man United didn't just suddenly improve with Carrick. Like, there were still metrics and things to suggest that Man United were playing better than what they happened last year under Amorim. What was your whole take on Amorim departure, and what has kind of Carrick done differently for you guys?
Yeah, that's a good one, because if you ask 10 Man United fans, you probably get like 10 different versions of Ruben Amorim, and I think it did cause a lot of what's the best way of putting it politely? I think people got angry about the situation because the results are really bad. I remember actually last summer I did loads of transfer streams, lots of content over the summer, and I was really positive, really enthusiastic with the players we bought. So I thought we bought like Mbeumo, Cunha, Benjamin Sesko. I didn't know loads about him, but I was quite positive because Vivell was very confident. Yeah, actually, to be honest, 1 or 2 days before we signed Sesko, I did a couple of streams, and I had a lot of Newcastle fans like really angry, saying, "Guys, stop saying this. He's definitely coming to us." So I remember all the situation regarding Sesko, and then we got Lamans. And I was saying at the end of the transfer window, I wish we got a midfielder, but I said, guys, look, we bought 4 really good players. We bought 4 players that are going to go into our first team. This is good for a window. This is, and a lot of people were going, "Oh, midfield's rubbish, Rich. We're going to be mid-table." And I was saying, "No, look, guys, we got some good players here. Cunha's very good, and Mbeumo I do rate highly. And I think that we've got good players. We've improved our first team." And then when it came to September, it's kind of difficult, isn't it? Because you say, look, I told everybody we got some good players, and we're languishing in like the sort of 14th, 15th. And I think the issues were always that our first 5 games were really difficult. We had Arsenal, we had City, we had Chelsea in the first 5, and we didn't even get to use Lamans until I think he was available for the City game, but he didn't come in until the Sunderland game, which is a couple of games later. So again, having Lamans in goal, regardless of who's in charge, whether it's Carrick or Amorim, it's a massive step up from Bayern. I think everyone will agree that, and I would say that Amorim would have got slightly better results in those first few games if Lamans had been signed earlier in the window.
Yes,
but I think, to be honest, I know it's frustrating for fans, but in terms of the Lamans signing, it's that the goalkeeping scout Coton was pushing for Lamans, and the board and other people around the club were not sure. We looked at probably at least 10 goalkeepers, and it might have just been like it was difficult to decide which goalkeeper to go for. So we went for him quite late. It probably meant that Amorim got worse results in a couple of games. But I'd agree with what you're saying, that it's not all Amrin, but it's a little bit of a factor. I do think that probably, say, Amrin himself is one factor, but also he brought some coaches that were a little bit inexperienced, a bit naive in terms of the Premier League level, let's put it that way. And I think what we've seen with Michael Carrick, you've got Holland, who's vastly experienced with England. He's brought back some ex-players as coaches. He's just got a lot of experienced people around the team that know what kind of the Premier League requires, know what Manchester United need as well, know the players. And I think what he's done is, it's not just Michael Carrick versus Amrin. It's Amrin plus the people he didn't really bring in. He just relied on coaches that maybe weren't good enough. And Michael Carrick put together a really good team of people. And it is short term, isn't it? It's like 7 games. But as a fan, I mean, I don't know how much Manchester United you watch, but watching against Man City, we completely thrashed Man City. I was watching it thinking, who are these people? Who are these people wearing this red shirt? Where's this performance been? And then our next game was away to Arsenal, and we hadn't won there for years. And again, we were like, we had lots of fight. It's a tough game, and we won that. And I just been like, kind of enjoying the ride, because I'm watching Man United now that we played against Everton, scrappy game, difficult, but we won. We played against other teams where West Ham, scrappy game, we managed to get a late equaliser. And these are the sort of games we were losing maybe at the start of the season last year. And we're going to come and play you guys. And maybe maybe a few months ago, I'd be thinking, oh no, we're going to be like, it's going to be so difficult. Whereas now, I think it's going to be difficult, but I feel like we're prepared, that the team's going to be at least, we're not going to buckle after 75 minutes. And actually, one of the things I didn't like about Amrin, because I have to be honest and say, when Amrin got sacked, I was like, okay. I wasn't like actually gutted. I was thinking we can move on, because I didn't see it going in the right direction. There was a few things in terms of like negative approach, very defensive substitutions. And you could say I watched the West Ham game early in the season when we were winning the game, we were controlling the game easily, and we just made defensive substitutions and invited West Ham back into the game.
Yeah.
And against Everton, do you know what I mean? If you're watching United against West Ham, we're winning the game, and you go, right, why is it? Why are we making defensive substitutions? Why are we bringing on? And I think we brought on. I'm trying to think who it was now. It might have been someone like Dallo, and I was thinking, we're trying to win the game and we're bringing on defensive players. And I was just, we were lucky to draw that game, but we should have won it comfortably. And the Everton game was the other one where we were playing 10 men. Like, I don't know if you remember that game, but one of the Everton player got sent off for hitting the other.
I had memories.
I was just watching it laughing. Do you know what I mean? You watch it and you think, if ever there was a game where you think, wow, thanks, Everton, we're going to win this game. And we didn't. We lost it. And I just thought those games summed up an incorrect approach from Amrin. And I think we're seeing that the players also, the players have gradually got better. Benjamin Sesko was always going to improve over the season. And I think he is improving because he's getting used to the league. And the understanding between Bruno, Cunha and Buemo Ahmed was always going to improve. And we're seeing that as well. So things would have improved anyway, but it's kind of accelerated because I think Michael Carrick and his team have got a better approach. Sorry, that's a really long answer, but
no,
there's just a lot of...
It's comprehensive, and that's what we need to see. That's what we need to hear. I mean, what I wanted to show as well, and to add on to it, I don't know if Mitch, feel free to chime in at any point. I was just looking at the table, Rich, and you're third. You mentioned that you're
it's
third.
Amazing, isn't it? This is the first time for it must be about 3 years we've been this high. But you know what's also funny is that when we had Ruben Amorim as manager, we kept playing on a Monday. And every time we played on a Monday, we were like 3 points from top 4, and then we'd lose or draw. Like, I think we played about 4 games on a Monday, or it felt like a lot. And we just always seemed to be close to top 4. But we've actually, apart from the one draw against West Ham, I think we've won about 6 out of 7, which is phenomenal. I think he's got 19 points out of 21, which is, we haven't been close to that for a couple of years in terms of consistency.
And a plus 12 goal difference, which is always good. I don't know when the last time is you might have seen that, but you must be.
Yeah, no, usually we're about 0.
You must be chuffed. I think it's incredible. How high? Where do you think you can finish?
Probably, I think realistically, that's probably about the highest, isn't it? I don't think we can catch Arsenal and City at this stage now. It's one of these things, isn't it? That we've had a very good run. We're probably going to drop points at some point. Third would be, considering where we were when Carrick took over, I think we might have been 6th or 7th. We were level on points with you guys, actually. So I was thinking that
I remember.
I've been telling people all season the squad was good enough to get Europa League football. So okay, some people didn't agree, but since recently I've been saying Champions League, we should be aiming to get Champions League football, and a third would be a really good finish considering what we saw. And I'm just thinking in terms of what's happening around the league, that other teams are going to take points off each other as well. So even if we drop some points, that other teams got to play each other. And I think we've actually put ourselves in with a really good chance.
No, I agree. Through gritted teeth, I agree. We've got a few. We've got a few questions in the chat and statements, if anything. And before we get to the tactical boards, I wanted to read them out. Petra says, "I think if we somehow stop Fernandes, we have a good chance." Now, I actually agree with Petras. Like whenever we play Man United, my main concern is always Fernandes. Now, and obviously you've got Mbuemo, Cunha, Sesko. It's not to say that those guys shouldn't be watched out for, but I feel like I always feel like he's such a person of controversy for people. But for me, he's very much a traditional 10. He's creative, visionary with the passing. What's his impact been for you this season? And also, obviously, I've heard you get rumors here and there about his contract talks. Are they positive? Are they negative? I don't know. What do you think is going to be here next year? How do you see Fernandes? And is he available for the game? Is he playing?
Bruno is nearly always available. Like I think he's only missed. There was probably, unfortunately, it was during AFCON, but I think during AFCON he missed a couple of games. Maybe like I'm trying to think how many it was. Maybe like 3 possibly. That was the only games he's missed from injury as a Manchester United player. We've had him 6 years, and he missed 1 game from I think illness once, but in terms of injury, he's almost always available. I've lost count of the number of previews I've done where it says Bruno fitness check. Bruno's always available. Like unless Bruno's injured, he's always available. But I do agree, he's a really key player. He's considering he was playing as and this is where Amorim got something wrong. He was playing as quite a deep midfielder under Ruben Amorim, alongside alongside Casemiro. But despite that, he's actually, I think he's got 13 assists. He's going to get the most assists of the Manchester United player since Beckham, and I think he's like going for possibly a Premier League record. So he's been on fire recently. And if you saw the game against Crystal Palace, okay, not a vintage performance from our team, but there was a lot of things during that game where Bruno Fernandes was pointing towards, like he was like talking to Sesko during the game, pointing and going like, make this run, and kind of like coaching. And I've seen that with Dorgu as well. And it's something where, for me, Bruno Fernandes is a key player at the moment, and I think he could be a key player next season as well. I think what's happened is there's been a lot of, if you watch a lot of Manchester United channels, you probably hear a lot of different views. Some people think Bruno's a problem because of certain agendas, possibly about his wastefulness, but he's so creative. I was looking I know you quite like stats, Philip, and I was looking recently, and I don't know what it was. I wasn't looking for it, but I accidentally found it on some Twitter account, and it had Bruno's pass completion rate, and it was pretty much the same as most midfielders. It wasn't a lot different, but the amount of chances he creates is phenomenal, and good chances as well. These aren't like, he's not creating, he's not like passing it somewhere 40 yards away and someone's like dribbling and scoring. He's setting up the Benjamin Sesko chance absolutely perfect. And we've seen that a few times. I think he put in the cross for Maguire to score the winner against Liverpool, like on a completely exactly perfect cross, and
incredible
time and time again. And I think I watched football differently to other people, because if we sold Bruno, I'd just be thinking, wow, what, like who do you drop into that position?
I was just about to say to that, because I was going to say to you, and what Mitch's thoughts were on this as well, is that you don't know how good something is until it's gone. Because I, for one, if I had a Bruno Fernandes in our team, like with the runners we've got, the pace that we've got, the amount of times I'm screaming at the TV for Elanga or for somebody to release the ball or to find Gordon, it's insane, Mitch. I don't know, like.
Yeah,
Why do
same.
you think?
I've never understood why Man United fans don't want to build him a statue and stuff. Because over since he's come in, he's been exceptional. Like he's been one of the few players, even through like the darkest of times. He's been one of the few players that can still get into most teams in the world. He's been exceptional pretty much the whole time he's been there.
True.
Yeah, I can't explain it because I say what I say. And when I was talking about Bruno Fernandes actually this afternoon on my stream, there was a couple of stories that broke about Bruno that someone shared with me. And one of them was that I think Bruno goes into the last year of his contract this summer. And there was loads of speculation about potential Saudi bids. And there's speculation about release clause and certain teams he might go to. I think what's happened is that when we finish 15th, there's obviously fans are angry, fans are disappointed, and Bruno gets blamed because I think it's sometimes his body language. You know, when Bruno Fernandes looks frustrated and fans get angry, and I was thinking, well, you know, people show disappointment in different ways. Like Roy Keane, anger, and Bruno Fernandes, frustration, and they want the same thing, and I think we're seeing the best of Bruno at the moment, and it's probably the best I've seen since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, where he was very pivotal. He was creating loads, and what we're seeing maybe is that Manchester United have actually, under Michael Carrick, our team is like so much more organised that if we do, like you're gonna concede possession. Every team concedes possession when you take a few risks, but when we do concede possession, we don't have this massive hole in midfield. We're quite organised, so it's if we concede possession, it's fine. Casemiro, Koemenu, other players can get possession back. It's no drama, but you've got to take risks. I watch so much safe football in other teams, and it's so boring to watch, isn't it? This possession. I know people that say to me, "Oh, Brennan needs to be more careful." But if he's more careful, we won't create anything. Like you have to take risks, and you have to move the ball forward. And people go, "But he's too quick." No, he has to be quick. That's his strength. That the fact Bruno Fernandes makes. One thing I've seen recently is Bruno Fernandes will make passes and decisions pretty quickly. And I think what he's gradually doing is like Benjamin Sesko and Dorgi before he get injured, and now sort of realizing a little bit. This was the analogy I made early on today. It's a little bit like Van Nistelrooy and Beckham. As soon as the ball went to Beckham, Van Nistelrooy knew to make a run because the cross was going to come in. And what we saw against Crystal Palace was the ball got to Bruno. You saw Sesko make that run. Bruno was putting the cross in, and you saw the winning goal. And I think what we're seeing is gradually other people are getting onto Bruno's wavelength, which is going to be a positive. If we sold Bruno, then we probably get someone from a different league that people would tell me that they're amazing, and I know they'd struggle to replicate what Bruno offers. But let's hope that Man United have got some sense and try and keep a few key pieces together. Because if we get in Champions League, like you guys know, it's a load more games, isn't it? It's so much more. And we've had this season that as a content creator, it's been like a famine because we had no League Cup run, no FA Cup run, no Champions. Do you know what I was going to say? This is like, it sounds like a joke, but when Manchester United played just before the FA Cup matches, and I read, like, okay, we haven't got a game for 13 days. I thought there was an international break, and I thought, oh no, actually, it's because we're not good enough to be in the FA Cup, and we're not good enough to be in Europe. So I was thinking, wow, we've got 2 weeks off, no games.
These are the breaks, and what I feel for me anyway. When it comes to Bruno Fernandes, I feel like I don't know where you guys are in terms of like. So I think that I really enjoy this modern day football in terms of like in general. I think we're going for a good time and quality time. But I understand where people feel like, oh, back in the day was better. But for me, Bruno Fernandes exposes a little bit of those, I guess, nostalgia folks, because they always like say, what happened to the number 10s and the Mavericks that we used to have? And those same guys would criticize Fernandes. Yeah. And I'm like, Fernandes belongs in 1990s Italia playing behind Roberto Baggio, or 2010s playing behind Rooney and Christian. Like, he is the purest number 10. I'm so surprised that I think people forget what it was like back in the day, and they've just got this rose tinted lens but then they also can't recognize a player in who Bruno Fernandes is. And I feel like when you mentioned having a big goal in your back line, or in your team, when he loses the ball, because he's playing further up. He's like almost like he's almost playing like a number 10 or a supporting striker. So if he does lose the ball, it's okay. There's about 5, 6, 7, 8 players in behind him. You know, if Amra's playing him deep line playmaker, and it's gonna be troublesome when you're pushing up. Like, you're gonna get yourself cold. So yeah, I think he's going to be, for me, one of those players where you're going to miss him when he's gone. James says, but Fernandes is aging. He's 30 at the moment. You're going to start a depression of his form, or you're going to see a depression of his form soon, as well as when he gets to 30, they start to lose a lot of their variety, speed, and movement on the ball. But it's going to ask you, Rich. For me, Fernandes isn't for his speed and movement, but physically, I feel like it's more to do with what's in his head. So he's almost like an almost, yeah, not fully like an Eriksen. Yeah, so go on.
One of the games, like against Man City, was what he was leading the counter attack, where he was running through the middle and he picked out the pass. But it's not that. I think for Bruno Fernandes, for me, is someone that he's never had elite pace, has he? So
no.
When people say, I know. When you look at someone's age and people say, okay, he's 30, he's going to hit the wall, sort of thing. I just think, like, we've watched football for decades. There's so many different things that can happen. So, say, for example, someone like Robbie Fowler was ridiculously good as an early, like, young player, early 20s. But I think he lost interest in football. And around 30, he was just not in shape, not really. And I think if you look at Manchester United, I remember having this conversation with my dad at the time and other people, when we had, I think it might have been 2004 or 5, we were trying to win the league back from Chelsea, and we had Paul Scholes and Ryan Giggs, and they were like 33 and 34. And I was just thinking, we need to replace these guys. But ultimately, they won the title when they were 38, 39. But I'm not saying Bruno Fernandes would play to that sort of age. But considering we got a player in Bruno, never injured, like never seriously injured at all, there's no reason to suggest he's going to drop off at 31, 32, 33. Like, there's no indication. He's not worse at a 30-year-old than he was at 26-year-old. Cristiano Ronaldo is like over 40. Zlatan, we signed Zlatan when he was like 34 or 5, wasn't he? He was
in
a
his
few
30s,
years older.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think with this one that having a blanket age of, like, 30-year-olds are very different. I don't see any problem with Bruno Fernandes because he's intelligent. He doesn't get injured. He looks after himself. I mean, he's playing but as well as he ever has done at Manchester United. And the people always want the next thing, don't they? And they want to write Bruno off. But Ryan Giggs at 35 was running around a lot better than a few players that are like 5-10 years younger than him. So I think Bruno Fernandes will be fine. He was never an insane athlete anyway. He was never going to be. It wasn't like an Alanga or a Cristiano Ronaldo. He was never that sort of ridiculously pacey. So I mean, I think people want to see him drop off because he's a problem for everybody. And for Man United fans, that if you wrote him off at the start of the season, you're probably just waiting for him to have a bad game. But no, I think he's going to be around for a few years. If we sold him next year, for example, and he went to, say, Bayern Munich, he would definitely cause us massive problems if we played them.
He would smash it. Honestly. Whoa. Lots there, guys. Please do remember to like, share, and subscribe, folks. We're going to move into a little bit of tactical breakdown for the game as well. So you've got Rich here is giving tons of context and information. I enjoyed it, Rich, when Man United weren't playing so well, and I love to hear the grief.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy it quite so much. I used to call my post-match streams like therapy sessions, and
Yeah,
It
yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
fun.
They had to be. They were like, you guys are going through it. Now, Rich, I'm going to go to you first. This is obviously your lineup from is it the Palace game? Yeah, it's the Palace game, I think, lineup. So I don't know if you're thinking there'll be any changes. And also to the chat, guys, as always, please do send in who your starting lineups would be, and start sending in your predicted scores as well for the game. Please do send in your predicted scores for the game. Yeah. So, Rich, so I don't know if you change anything about this lineup, if you're expecting any changes for this lineup going forward.
Yeah, I think with this that United don't have loads of options. I think that when we looked at the game for Crystal Palace, the big talking point for Manchester United fans prior to the game was, would Benjamin Sesko start? Because he's been on the bench a few times, but his goal scoring record had been really good. And in terms of defense, it's kind of like almost like picking itself. I think what we saw is that we initially had Martinez and Maguire. We went for experience, and then Martinez picked up a knock, which I don't think he's back. De Ligt's not available either. So also Shaw went off. So potentially, like Luke Shaw had started every single game, which for a somewhat injury-prone player, I don't know if there's anything to. I don't know if there's any more to that, or whether he will be fine. But no, Luke Shaw got replaced by Mazraoui, but Mazraoui's played left back a lot for Bayern Munich, so that would be fine. I don't mind Mazraoui starting. Apart from that, midfield's going to be exactly the same. Like Mainu, Casemiro, I don't see that changing. Bruno will definitely be starting. Probably the question is going to be, like, would we go for exactly the same front three? And I don't. Part of me thinks we might do that, but if we didn't, I'm guessing that Sesko would be on the bench and we'd start with Almajolo and Bremer would be up front. But I think if you're gonna put the strongest player in each position, then for me you'd have Sesko on the pitch, because I think he causes a different problem. And Almajolo, he's very pacey, very direct. He's quite good to have later in the game. But I think we might go something similar. It sounds boring, doesn't it? But we don't have a bench of options to go for. There's maybe Dorgu would have been the player before he got injured that would be pushing to start. But otherwise, Aiden Heaven maybe an option. Like some people are saying that Aiden Heaven might be a good pairing with Maguire because he's stronger on his left. And I think Aiden Heaven was signed with sort of like a long-term replacement of Lissandro Martinez in mind. But I think possibly that's the only option. So I think probably 9 out of 11 would be the same, almost like guaranteed.
So which ones are likely to change? Who do you think is going to put? What
I
should
think
change?
Luke Shaw maybe for Mazraoui,
Yeah.
and that's one that might happen because Luke Shaw went off with a bit of a knock, and we're not pressured to play. We haven't got many games coming up, so maybe I would probably start like that. I would probably keep Sesko on.
If it's not Sesko, who is it?
Amajalo would come on, and then we'd have Mbemo up front.
Yeah, no. If I were you, I'd keep him. What's impressive to me, Rich, I'm just looking through and I know you've already touched on it, but for instance, your front line's goal scoring and assists. So, for instance, I was looking at Premier League alone, but you've got 8 GA for Cunha, 6 goals, 2 assists. Sesko's, you've got 9 GA, 8 goals, 1 assist, even though he's been coming off the bench. Fernandez is incredible, 13 assists, 7 goals, 20 GA already. And that's the Premier League alone, right? And then you've got 12 GA and 9 goals and 3 assists for Mbeumo. I mean, these 4 players have brought you well over 50, 60 GA, and it's not even, and they've only played 27, 29 games if you include the 2. I mean, 27, 28 games, I think, in the Premier League. I mean, that's phenomenal, Rich.
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it? This is why we're so optimistic when we did our transfer window, because I said literally Manchester United have bought goals. I think if you look at the season last season, then I can't remember exactly, but I think Cunha and Mbeumo might have been both in the top 5. I think one of them had 15, one had 16 or something like that. But they were all also they were penalty takers for their team. So Mbeumo, Bruno, Cunha, they're not all going to be. One of them's going to be taking penalties. So the number, I expected the numbers to drop a little bit, and I think Benjamin Sesko wasn't particularly prolific at Leipzig, but he was playing with two strikers, so he wouldn't be getting the sort of like. I think Newcastle last season were really, really effective at actually getting chances for Isak, really good. And I thought Woltemade at the start of the season as well was benefiting from the way you set up, getting a lot of chances, got a lot of goals. But no, we effectively have bought goal scorers, like proven quality goal scorers, but also they're good off the ball. And the thing that I like about Cunha, I don't know what you guys think of our players individually, but I really liked Cunha for different reasons to Mbeumo, because he reminds me a little bit of Mark Hughes, which I don't know if your guest remembers Mark Hughes, but he's just very good at once the ball gets to Mark Hughes and like Cunha, you don't get it off him easily. He's really tenacious. He's great at holding the ball up. He's not necessarily prolific, but he's really good when games get physical. He's really good when games are like tight. He's really when at Anfield he was a really key player. He didn't score, didn't create a chance, I don't think, but he was a real key player in actually seeing the game out, neutralising Liverpool, frustrating opposition. I think Cunha, for me, as a Wolves player, I hated playing against Wolves because of Cunha. He made our players look rubbish. He's skillful. He's just a pain, isn't he? He's just like, if he gets the ball, you can't do much about it. And he's just he's frustrating if he's not in your team. But Mbeumo is just, I think Mbeumo is so good off the ball, works hard. And it's something that, if you remember last season, we had Garnacho and we had Rasmus. We've upgraded hugely. Like, this is a big upgrade from those guys. And Xerxes, and Rasmus, between them, they got, I think, 7 league goals last season, which is dreadful for forward players in United.
This is too much good stuff I'm hearing, Rich. This is making me icky.
Do you get the feeling though that with this one, like if you start, I've been saying this a few times to Man United fans that are a bit negative, and saying if people could stop Bruno, we've got Cunha, Sesko. I know Bruno's like kind of the catalyst for a lot of it, but we have got.
He's not your only catalyst. Yeah, he's not your only catalyst. He's not the only guy. No, I absolutely agree. Even if you do stop Fernandes, however you stop Fernandes, which I think is very, very difficult, you can still get Cunha who can drive with the ball. He might not have the same. Well, actually, he had a really good pass to who was it? He had one where I think it was against Tottenham. Was it against Tottenham?
He got an assist off the bench against Man City, where he went down to the right-hand corner, put it across, and Dorgu ran in and finished. He did score the winner against Arsenal as well. No, he got actually, no, he got a very good assist against Everton. No, that was Mbeumo.
That was Mbeumo. He cut it into Sesko. I think that was Mbeumo.
Yeah, he started. He started the move.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, Cunha started the move for the Everton goal. He did the long pass.
To
Mbeumo, and Mbeumo then picked out Sesko. It was a great move.
That was super good. That was super, super good. And yeah, man, we really wanted Sesko. Anyway, I'll move on from that. But he would have suited our team very well. Mitch, for you, I mean, obviously this is our starting lineup from Everton game. I'll leave it to you. Who would be in your starting lineup against Man United?
Well, Pope for Ramsdale.
First thing I do.
Yeah. Botman for Burn.
Botman for Burn. Whoop. I'll get him eventually. Yeah.
And I think we'll see Woltemade for maybe Joe Willock. Is Barnes fit? Actually, no, Harvey Barnes.
For Barnes, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, Harvey Barnes.
Where is it? Where's Barnesy?
Third from the top, even.
Nice one.
I think that's what we'll see. The midfield will be more of a flat three, and then Gordon, Elanga, Barnes as the front three is what I think we may see. I hear there's a bit of a sickness bug in the camp, which I think may have only really affected Woltemade. Ramsey had it a bit at the weekend, but apparently he's trained this week. So,
yeah, Ramsey's expected back. So you've got Ramsdale in goal, Botman, Chow, Trippier, Hall make up our defense. Trippier needs to get a break at some point. 35-year-old legs, and how they're carrying him so far. I wouldn't be
Well, he has
surprised.
said that Tino's slightly ahead of schedule, so within one of the next 2-3 games, I reckon we'll see Tino back in.
Yeah, honestly, we need him back in. Midfield of Tonali, Ramsey, and Joelinton. Yeah. And Ilanga, Gordon, and Barnes make up the front three. So I'm gonna start off with Rich before we get into it. Is Rich, for you, what's the kind of key strength from Newcastle? The main concern you have threat wise from Newcastle going forward? Is there a particular phase of play, like if you're caught on the counter, or set pieces, or are there individual battles that you're worried about? What's the kind of
I think
main?
people are always concerned about the midfield battle. That seems to be the main issue with, and I think you haven't got Bruno Guimarães available, but your midfield recently, when particularly, one thing that's interesting is, I think when we played against you guys last time, we did change a little bit. Like Ruben Amorim changed things a little bit. We had a lot of people missing in that game as well, because that was during AFCON, wasn't it? When we played you, we had a lot of people missing. Somehow we won that one, but I'm just probably overall. I think with this one, where we don't have a great record at your ground. I think it's about 5 years, isn't it, since we won there. Someone was telling me today when I was getting positive, they were saying we haven't won at Newcastle and I was like, okay. I know we haven't. There's a lot of things we haven't done that well recently. But I think with this, sometimes with this, I just think that I'm hoping Man United don't become predictable. That I know we're going to be playing slightly different in different games, but I'm actually thinking this. I know people look at Newcastle as being a stronger team than teams who played recently, which I think is true. Like, you're a stronger team than Everton, you're a stronger team than West Ham. I know league position can change people's perception, but you've got some quality players there. You should be, like, if you didn't have the Champions League, I think you would be certainly higher up the league. I think the Champions League does take a lot out of the team and players. But I'm just thinking that this is one of those games where you're going to be hopefully a bit more aggressive than Everton were and West Ham, because we don't always look great against teams that are defensive. So I don't know. I'm kind of cautiously optimistic with this one. I do think you've got, like, if we don't play well, you've got really good players, and I'm kind of a bit concerned to see how effective, how many chances can you get. Woltemade, if we got someone like Yoro or Aiden Heaven in defence, then I've got a little bit questions about how they would cope with a good striker, because I think Maguire in the air is absolutely fine. Yoro lost a defensive header, which cost us a goal in the Crystal Palace game, and he wasn't close to challenging the person, which is a bit of a concern. But I think in terms of transition, that would have been my biggest fear under Amorim. But I think we're actually quite well set up now. So I'm probably just, I don't know. I'm just looking forward to it. But I'm not actually. I don't want to say I'm not scared of Newcastle. I think the way we're playing, I feel that we're actually quite well set up. I don't think it's going to be. I think in terms of how games have gone recently, where I'd have loads of concerns, it's kind of difficult because watching Carrick, we've had 6 wins and a draw, so we haven't really got. The first defeat's around the corner, I'm sure, but when that happens, we'll probably have some question marks over it. The only question, I suppose, really is that Lamans has been beaten from distance a few times. They tend to be like wonder goals, but I'm just wondering whether there's potentially a little thing in that one. But I don't know. Where do you see our weakness at the moment?
Mitch, do you want to go?
For me. Fullback to me. I say this most times when I come on here. I always look at the individual matchups in certain areas, and I think this is one of the games where the matchups really suit us. If these are the 2 11s, I like the matchups all over the pitch. The only one that would worry me is if Cunha can sort of single out Trippier in any way, but I think it will be more Chow on Cunha and Botman on Sesko, and Trippier will sort of float between if Mazraoui comes or not, which again, I don't mind. I actually quite like look of it. I think Man United are in decent form. They're on a great one of actually getting results. But the last few games, I haven't watched them and thought, yeah, these are an amazing side. It's one of them games where I feel that if we turn up and play well and play to the best of our ability, we win. But if we have people doing mad stuff like we had against Everton, then anything could happen. But I feel the ball kind of lies in our court, and even more so considering we're at home as well. Like I can't see how, like people say, if you close down Bruno Fernandes, that you potentially win the game. Yeah, but he hasn't. For me, again, he hasn't. He's a great player, but even recently, he hasn't been amazing. He's put a few good balls in. Even for the winner, he found his space because not Everton, because Palace were down to 10. As long as we don't do anything silly, I feel that we win tomorrow.
I think I like the idea in terms of there are duels where you think, yes, I fancy us here. Like, if you allow, I know Euro's no slow coach, not at all. But I think Gordon's aggression and off the ball will be very difficult. Obviously, Maguire's there, and he'd do his best to look after Euro. But I think if I'm Gordon, I'm targeting Euro, and that might put off Casemiro a little bit in terms of having to look after him from time to time. So there are some really good matchups there. But I do have concerns. I do
You've got some
think
directness there as well. Like Alanga has got insane pace. So when you move Manchester United's defence up to the halfway line, I was looking at that thinking, hang on, looking at where Alanga is, thinking there's a lot of space for Trippier to put in that ball, isn't there, for Alanga to run through. Do you remember the game? There was a game, Manchester United versus Bournemouth, that finished 4-4. And that was a game where it
great
was
game.
a crazy one. But I think we
Great
lost
game.
the ball somewhere where you had Maguire, right where you're hovering now. We lost the ball somewhere around there, maybe a bit deeper. And when someone like Semenyo won it there and just drove straight to the goal and scored. And I was kind of getting flashbacks then when you put Alanga on Mazraoui's shoulder. And I was thinking that's probably a thing that when Manchester United are attacking, then Maguire's obviously not particularly pacey. I think Yoro is actually pretty quick and is incredibly good, like recovery tackles as well.
Yes,
so
yes.
he would be good regarding that. But I think what we've got there is quite a good mix of experience. Like Mazraoui, no one's as quick as Alanga. That's let's be realistic. But I think with this one, you're hoping for the reading of the game that we, if it's dangerous, we're going to be dropping back a little bit. But also, Blaman's, he's not like Onana. He makes good decisions. He's going to be a lot higher up as well. So we can close the gaps that way. I think with this one that you look at it and go, like Casemiro is going to have a difficult day. Like if something happens and we have to bring on Agate, he's a level below the players we got, and we don't have a lot of substitutions to change the game in midfield. We're very much down to just the option of Agate, really. But looking at that, then I think Cunha can cause you big problems on that side, and Mbeumo or Almojalo, I think they're troublemakers as well for a lot of people. I think the midfield's probably where I'm most like. You got some physical players, haven't you? And that's probably where I think Mainu is. Like he's obviously, I don't think he's weak, but he's not going to be someone that's going to be necessarily driving us forward. So maybe he's going to. Our players need to have a good game, limit the space, and I think with Casemiro it's about reading danger. But again, if the tempo is very high, Casemiro is not going to be quite as effective. But I think overall, it's actually quite an intriguing match because, like you said, if Newcastle play really, really well, you're going to cause us big problems. And if Manchester United are on their game, I think it could go either way. So when I was trying to predict it, I think there's ways we can win this game. And one thing we have done recently is we're not seeing too many individual errors. And I think what we're seeing is an organised team that's possibly, like if you do get errors, they're maybe further up the pitch a little bit and they're not causing us problems.
I agree with a lot of everyone says, but I am concerned about Man United. I like Mitch's confidence, but I'm trying to take off the highlights. I'm still learning the controls here as always, but I'm trying to take off the highlights. But bear with me. But essentially, why I'm worried is Mbuemo has a really good time against Hall at times. And I'm more thinking about maybe I'm more thinking about the Brentford days. I can't remember how he did against Hall, and I can't remember how he did against Hall in the Trafford. Did Hall play?
He weren't there. He was at
He
AFCON,
weren't
wasn't
there.
Yeah, we had a lot
Yeah.
of players missing then. So we had Amajolo missing and Mbeumo missing. I'm trying to think, and Nana was missing, but that was fine because he wasn't in the team then.
Right. So
Actually,
this
Bruno was injured then. Wasn't Bruno Fernandes injured in that game?
he got injured in the game. Yeah, he got injured in the game, but he got a hamstring, which is
Yeah,
unusual.
we
You can
had
see,
Dorgu playing then, didn't we? Maybe I'm trying to think.
yeah. So
Yeah,
Dorgo
Dogu got the winner from the right. He played right mid.
he scored that wonder goal. My concern is especially we've been what I say, Richard, for us is like we've been. My main concern is our rest defense and kind of defending the counter attacks. I think we've been making some individually bad decisions, even though we're set up to do like the setup is fine, but there's individual decisions that hurt me. I think my greatest fear is we're on the attack, the ball breaks and bounces off to Bruno Fernandes. You're going to get Cunha here. He's going to go right towards Trippier.
Yeah, there's a lot of space, isn't there, to aim for Bruno?
Exactly. A lot of them, Mbeumo and Hall here. I think Tonali will be a little bit further up. I don't mind either Chow or Botman here. And how we handle this situation is going to be so important. I don't know if Howe, because I don't know how many games Trippier has played straight, but I think if Howe is tempted to start off with Jacob Murphy on the right as a right back, because Miley's not fit yet, because this would be very, very damaging. I think this could be really, really hurt us. Sesko's getting his confidence. He's going to want to try himself.
Did you see how quick Sesko was against Everton for that goal?
Yeah, honestly, I'm not surprised. I know everybody's shocked, but for instance, Mitch and I, who through the summer have been looking at Sheshko, researching him, like we knew, like this is what we wanted. This is right up our alley. And when you got him, I was saying to folks that Arsenal should have got him instead of Gyökeres. Like this is the guy. This is the guy.
I was kind of. I remember we had exactly the same sort of discussions where we were looking at Gyökeres because of the links to Amarin and thinking, a goal scorer that he'd be channeling the ball into him, he'd get a lot of chances. And then watching him play for Arsenal and watching Benjamin Sesko, I think we've made the right decision. That I know it's easy to say when you've got the player at your club, but looking at what Gyökeres offers, a bit older, then I don't know. I just think a lot of people got carried away with the goal total in Portugal, and also then he got a hat trick against Man City in the Champions League, didn't he? So it couldn't have gone better for Gyökeres before he moved. But I think with Benjamin Sesko, it's very much something where I think Vivell had to convince Manchester United because we don't always make the best decisions in the transfer window. And I think a lot of people look at him and go, oh, okay, he's quite tall. What's he, but you're seeing he's good in the air. But I think the pace, he was probably where you got Mainu now when Cunha passed the ball to Mbeumo and he ran from there. I think there was a defender near him that he just left.
Tarkowski.
Yeah, that was it. It was again, and also at that sort of pace and just finished quite I'm actually impressed by his finishing more than anything. I know his physical attributes are great as well, but the quality of his goals have been like really good. He hasn't been scoring tap-ins. They've been actually really good finishes.
No, I agree. I think if we could, like I said, my main concern is getting hit on the break. And the passing
Can I ask you a
qualities.
question, because I haven't watched Newcastle a lot recently, but I've seen that the game against Everton was like 3-2, wasn't it? Are you concerned that there's if it's individual errors, there's quite a few individual errors. Is there a concern that is there an effect do you think that some players are overplayed? Is it Champions League or because I think what we saw last season at United were consciously or unconsciously, there seemed to be almost like we didn't put the same effort in the Premier League as we did in Europa League. In Europa League, we didn't lose a game till the final. And I'm just wondering with Newcastle, because I saw you almost beat PSG. You're really good in that game. And then you look at that and think, okay, then you thrash Karabag, which, okay, you expected to win, but you destroyed them. And then I saw Everton and think, wow, Everton has scored 3 goals. What's going on here?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and I'll go to Mitch in a moment. For me, because I literally was just looking through the highlights of the Everton game, people, because someone, I'm about to say, you can put it, I guess, down to mental fatigue, whatever that is. But just looking at some of the highlights in terms of how we conceded these games and at what moments in the game we conceded them. So every time we equalized, within 30 to 60 seconds, we conceded those goals, Rich. I don't know what accounts for that. So how do you even achieve that? Like, how is that even possible? Someone might put it down to mental fatigue or whatnot, possibly. And I was going to say bad decision making, which again could be down to mental fatigue. But and the same question asked to Howe, because they were saying, how is it they're raising their game for the PSG and everybody else, but for your Evertons they're not. And he goes, yeah, you're right, and it's not a sign of a good team that does that. I don't think when I say they're raising, I feel like when, I know you're not saying this, but I feel like when people say for the Cups and for the Champions Leagues, they raise their game, but for Everton's and they don't, it kind of implies they're not trying hard enough or something like that, where I think they are. I think they are putting the effort in. But it really is at the moment, we are really being punished for individual errors, whereas opposed to, I think, and those individual errors are mounting up, and they mounted up against Everton because it was one individual error after one individual error that led to another goal, to led to another goal, to led to another goal. So I kind of went along with an answer is you can put it down to games, increase the amount of games and players being overplayed, but we've got a bigger squad this time a little bit. There has been injuries as well, but I don't know. I don't know the answer, Rich. I don't know, Mitch. What do you think?
Like you say, some of it will fall into mental fatigue, but I just don't get it. Like the Pope one is the one that baffles me. How does that really fall into any kind of fatigue?
Yeah.
It's just, I think we've got a few players in key areas that are just costing us games.
Yeah,
like certain things that other players are doing to cover certain players and making us concede goals.
Yeah,
and I just think we're just seeing them deficiencies now where we haven't got the key rotation in certain places. Teams are attacking us in the areas where they know that we're weakest, and that's where we're falling down, and it just seems to consistently work for them. And yeah, it's frustrating. I think Everton's a bit of an anomaly because it was just a string of individual errors, whereas other goals that we've conceded, you couldn't really say like it's a string of individual errors that have cost us the game, because in the whole, we've been playing pretty well, apart from, say, the Brentford game where we were pretty poor again. But yeah, these things seem to come as one-offs for us. As much as they come more consistently this season than they ever have done, you don't really ever see performances like that back-to-back from a Newcastle team. So that's why I'm sort of not using Everton as a reference for tomorrow.
Yeah, for me, I thought, my hope is that, but because we had Brentford, that was scary. Then we had the Champions League and everything else, and that kind of, and then we'll still come back to the Premier League. So for me, the Man United game is going to be like, my hope is that we stop the errors, because we definitely will be punished for it if we don't. But
bear in mind, after Brentford, it was still Premier League. We played Tottenham in the league a few days later.
Yeah, but it's Tottenham, isn't it? Like, well, I mean, like now I'm. The thing is, at the time, I was like, yeah, like it was a great victory, but and it was. We played really, really well in that game. Then I don't know. I guess the Everton. I think the Everton game really put me off. Like that was like you, Mitch. I hope it's a one-off, but that really put me off.
That was one where I thought I was a bit surprised by that one. Do you know what I was going to say? From my perspective, last season, we played some of the better teams in, say, Spain. I think we played Athletics. I'm trying to think who else we played. But we played a couple of teams that were, I think they were the third best team in Spain or fourth best team in Spain at the time.
Yeah.
And we won quite easily. And we didn't have many problems apart from the Lyon game where we gave away some stupid goals. But then when we came to the Premier League last season, loads of teams caused us problems. And I'm seeing that like Newcastle and Spurs look good in Europe. I think that also, I think people underrate how deep the Premier League is with like the financial situation. And there's a lot of teams, say last season, Wolves were quite poor, but they've got Cunha, who's amazing. And you look at every team has got very, very good players. Like you look at West Ham might get relegated and people would buy Fernandes and Bowen, and Luca Paqueta went for big money. And there's just a lot of examples of all the teams that are in the bottom half of the Premier League table that they've got players that would get into most teams. There's a lot of good players in different teams. And I just think that with the Premier League, if Newcastle are a little bit off it, then they lose a lot of these games that are quite tight because you've got Everton are really organised. They're very difficult and they make it tricky. And a lot of people look at it, and when Man United drew to West Ham, loads of people were saying to me, "Look, Rich, I told you it was going to fall apart." And I was thinking, West Ham are difficult. They're fighting to stay in the Premier League. They've got some good players. They're a difficult team to play. And I think at the moment, the thing that's in our favour is we've got literally nothing else. We've got no other competition. We spend the week focusing on the game. And against Crystal Palace played on Wednesday. So on Thursday night they played. And I was watching the match. Okay, we started off badly. The red card definitely helped. But after about 50 minutes, Crystal Palace were just getting slower and slower. And you could see that United were going to... And I think it is a little bit of an advantage with some games that we are finishing quite strong. And we're not... You said that if you concede goals shortly after scoring them, that's one thing we've actually done under Carrick. When we concede a goal, we've actually scored quite quickly. We went behind against Arsenal, behind against Fulham, and behind against Crystal Palace. We're actually winning quite a few games where we're losing from a losing situation, and that's something we never did with Amorim. So we've got a bit more of a tenacity that we didn't have at the start of the season. So that's why until we lose, I'll be confident, not overconfident, hopefully, but I'm just going to be. I think we've got a plan to try and win the game, whatever happens.
No, I agree, and I agree. The depth and quality of the Premier League, and if you look at just how much the best performing teams, especially with probably Arsenal and City, how heavily they invested in just to get backups for their backups, really. And that's what you got. I think that's what you got to do. I think if
we don't really. To be honest, I would say if we were trying to run a Champions League campaign with this squad, I think we'd struggle a lot. We don't have the depth. Can I just ask you a quick question? Because I said I'd ask you guys this question because I was talking about this earlier today. How do you feel about the rumours and like speculation about, say, Tonali when he was linked to Arsenal, and you've got now Tonali and Bruno Guimarães apparently on our ever increasing short list of midfielders, because we're linked to every midfielder. But how do you feel about those players potentially leaving or leaving to United even? What would you think?
Yeah, funny enough, I was going to talk about that a little bit later in the show, but we'll do it now. But once we talk about it, folks, send in your predictions. Good to see people sending their chats. James said Pope. He's got Pope, Hall, Botman, Chow, Trippier, Sandro, Joe Linton, Ramsey, Gordon, Woltemade, and Elanga on a 4-2-3-1 versus Man United. So thank you for sending that in. We might see Tino on the bench, says James as well. I mean, I'll answer your question first, Rich, and then I'll see what Mitch says. For me personally, I think two things in terms of big players potentially moving is, my main thing, I think I've said it to Mitch before, I've said it to somebody, was regardless of the player, I want to see, this is the first summer where we're going to see Newcastle have a sporting director, a manager and a CEO, and the finances, both SCR or PSR wise, all lined up in a row. It's the first time ever since the takeover. There's always one part that's missing. At some point, we have a sporting director, but we can't spend
We've
any
normally
money.
only got one part.
We've only got one part.
There's only one part in place.
And that's usually Eddie Howe. Like, for example, again in the summer, we get a lot of stick for the summer But people, because for whatever reason, don't understand that our sporting director left a day before the transfer window opened. He just left. And they had to call Eddie Howe, say, mate, please, can you come back? Can you come back from your holiday, please? So Howe's like, I didn't call anybody. I didn't make relationships with these players. That's what no, we need you. And that's why everything took so long. And so this is the first time we've got everything together. So I say that to say this. First thing, I don't want to see any of our players go. However, there is a good chance that they will. Should they leave, I want what my expectation is with the better infrastructure, i.e. sporting director, recruitment team, is that we replace those players and we still find players to maintain and make the team better. Players will come and go. And that's just a fact of life. I have to, that if the Isak drama doesn't teach you anything, you have to let go of players. So my main thing is, like I said, I don't want to see them any of them go, but should they go, is I want to be able to see. I still want to be able to see a quick turnaround and move on to get players into the squad and hopefully to see us moving forward. But
how do you guys feel about the Isak situation? Because I know a Brentford fan, and he is not very. I won't say exactly what he said because it's a nice show, but he said a few things about Wissa based on what Wissa did, and I was saying, like, from a fan perspective. We signed Mbeumo, and Mbeumo, I think all he said was, "I'm happy to be a Brentford player unless Manchester United buy me," and it was just like there was no drama. And I think the Wissa situation was a little bit. And I remember reading things when we were looking at signing Gyökeres. There was talks about Gyökeres going on strike, Gyökeres doing this, and Isak, and I was like, wow, there's so much drama there. And the Isak situation was, I do follow a few content creators, and there was people going, we can tell you that Liverpool will sign him, Liverpool won't sign him, and I was just like, wow, this is like, it's not obviously helpful, but you got a lot of money. How do you feel though? Because the way Isak kind of engineered it is not really going to appeal to fans.
Yeah, and I think what people did was try and merge the Wissa and Isak situation as the same because because they're reading bits of information. Now, why they're different is because Isak and his agent engineered a move together with Liverpool, but mainly it was Isak and his agent, and they forced that move, and they claimed there were some discussions which Newcastle have officially always publicly denied about that. Now, whether people believe Newcastle or not, that's what Newcastle have officially stated. The difference with Wissa is Brentford have publicly acknowledged that, yes, we had a verbal agreement with Wissa that we would let him go this summer. What changed it for us was, being Brentford, is we sold Mbeumo. We can't sell both our forwards at the same time. So Brentford fully acknowledged that publicly, that this is what's happened, hence why Wissa is kicking off. So it's two very, very different situations, right? And so, and the old regime of whom Isak claims to have been spoken to weren't at the club anymore. So I don't know.
Been at the club for a while.
They haven't been for the club for a while because this happened sometime last year. I'm like, whatever. So you just wanted to go. Now, what annoys me a little bit more about that, and I'll go over to Mitch in a moment, is that because even our own journalists would say, we haven't got, where's the new stadium? And this and that. And this is why Isak left. And I was like, bro, we won our first cup. We got Champions League. We had money in the bank. Isak would have left even if they bought the whole of Newcastle and turned it into a training ground. He would have left. He just wanted to go. Like that's all that it was. The guy wanted to go, and I think just before I move, it was handled. Obviously, you're looking at it in hindsight. Liverpool fans say should have the perfect situation would have been Liverpool and Newcastle representatives would talk to each other like grown adults and said, "Hey, this player wants to go. Hey, we want him. Can we get this done as smoothly as possible?" Yes, but we do like the Ekatike player that we're about to have a medical with. Can you wait for us to buy him and then you can have Isak? Great, we can do that and then we move on and change. But no, that didn't happen. What happened instead was Liverpool just didn't talk to our representatives. All that happened was Isak's agent kept on talking to them and saying, "I'm telling you, he's never coming back. buy him, buy him, buy him, buy him. And Liverpool were like, no, I don't believe you. We're going to buy Ekitike anyway. They bought Ekitike, and then Isak went on a runner. We couldn't find him. People were saying, "Where's Isak? Like, where's Wally?" And he was, he was gone. People were saying, we should have done more to keep him. What, hired a bounty hunter to find him? Oh, he's appeared in Spain. Then he releases a text message when the football awards came out saying, I really gave my all to my heart to this club and that kind of stuff, and it's in everybody's interest for me to leave. I was like, you mad? So he did that. So we held on to him. We ended up holding on for him too long whilst trying to buy different strikers and whatever, and that was insane. Yeah, so basically, Rich, I don't want to repeat of that situation. At the same time, obviously, there's players that no matter how I kind of try to be unemotional about it, that I do like. So, for instance, Bruno Guimarães, it'll burn me to see him, not just in the Man United top, but anybody else's top, because I think he's been our best foreign signing. But my main thing is obviously Newcastle United, and my hope is that we've organised with what appears to be finally the infrastructure in place, the finances in place, that we can replace and we can move forward with it. Mitch, I don't know what your thoughts are, what you wanted to add to that, and then we'll give our predictions as well.
Well, the Isak thing, there's probably no more to add. That was just how it was in a nutshell. He left the way he left. So, yeah, it is what it is. Loads of people made mistakes last summer thinking Isak would do certain things and he did it. Out of the list of players you said, don't think Bruno will leave. Maybe I'm naive in thinking all of his passion and the way he is about the club and the city. His dad's like a cult hero around here and all stuff like that. I would be very shocked if he left and stayed in the Premier League. So that one would surprise me. But anybody else, like Tonali's been spoke about, Livramento's been spoke about. The Livramento one's probably been handicapped because he keeps getting injured. So I think it would be a big risk for anybody to pay massive money for him right now. But if someone comes in for big money for Tonali and he decides he wants to leave, I can see it happening, especially if we're not in the Champions League, especially if he doesn't believe in the project anymore. But again, the noises he's come out with recently, whereas Isak never really said anything too positively about the club while he was here, Tonali has recently come out and said and thanked Howe and thanked the club for what they've done, saying that he wants to be here and he doesn't want to leave. But things can change in a heartbeat. Someone could come in and say, we're going to double your money. We're going to offer Newcastle £8 million, and Newcastle accept, and he's getting double the money. You can't really turn that down as a player when you've got such a short time span, especially someone who's been sat out for a year on like a gambling ban. He's going to want to maximize his money while he's still in the game, and I can't really fault him for that. As long as players go about it in the right way, which Isak didn't do, we move on. Like Philip said, we've got everybody in place now to have a very good window. I'm hoping these people are competent enough to say, okay, there's noises around Tonali. He could potentially leave. Who's next? If Tonali leaves, that leaves us with this money for that player. We go for him. If we don't get him, we go for him. There's our replacement. And if it happens, we do it quickly, or we do it before he even goes. The noises start happening. Speak to Tonali, say, yeah, actually, if this bid comes in, I'd like to leave. Right. We're going to go for him before you've even left. Then he goes, no problems. As long as we're set up like that, I have no dramas.
I hope that they've got their strategy would be, or if I was sporting director, my strategy would be exactly kind of on the back of what Mitch said is, we've got 4, maybe 5 players that we know teams really, really want. I think Tino Livramento is probably the most likely one to leave because Man City have been hunting him for the last 2 years, to be fair to them. And my thing would be is, what I'll be saying to all those players is, we can, for instance, I can let a maximum of 2 of you guys leave this summer, right? So whoever's club meets our valuation first, it's like a first come, first serve basis, we'll let you leave. Whether it's Tino, Bruno, whoever it is, that's what we'll do. The rest of you have to stay, mate, and do your contracts. But we'll increase your contracts, which we'll be able to do. But it'll also continue to show ambition by making sure we've got replacements. So, for instance, we mentioned Matheus Fernandes. I think he's a fantastic player. Brilliant player. It's hard to find a replacement for Bruno Guimarães, but Matheus Fernandes goes halfway to doing that, in my opinion. So
it's tricky, isn't it? Because I'm looking at it from a different perspective. Because Manchester United are looking at midfielders, and we have maybe Anderson. I'm not saying we're going to sign these, but these are players that they talk about. Anderson is one. Tonali. You've got Bruno Guimarães. You've got Gomez at Wolves. You've got Wharton, and I'm trying to think anywhere else, Belieber as well. You have all these different players, and Manchester United, they're looking at, like, Casemiro is definitely going to leave. So you look at he's going to be leaving. I think the difficulty is going to be is that also that one of these players, like, you know, if you try and buy one of your players, you're going to have to try and line up someone to replace them maybe initially before, which will delay it. And then Man United fans will go, why is this taking so long? And then we might, maybe that our priority is Anderson, but maybe Anderson is also wanted by another club, or maybe our priority is Wharton, but he's wanted. And it just becomes like this difficulty thing, doesn't it? Because fans get frustrated, but all the clubs, like no club's actually set up to try and help Manchester United's transfer window. They've all got their own business to try and do. I think we had the same thing with Brentford, where Brentford were. I read an article which backs up 100%. I was looking at it from a different perspective, but I was reading that, and the Mbeumo deal might be a problem if we don't buy him quickly, because they might sell Wissa before we get to the Mbeumo deal done, and then that might make the price go up because they won't want to sell Mbeumo. And I was thinking, this is like, just get it done, Man United. Like, waiting for just get these deals done. But no, it's kind of like quite fun, but in a stressful way. Whereas depending on where your club is, that for me last season, because we were so bad, any player coming in was great. But from a Newcastle perspective, it's difficult, isn't it? Because you want to keep Tonali and Bruno Guimarães around to build around if possible. But if their heart's not in it, then we've seen that with a few players in the past. If they're not really wanting to be Man United players, or their heart's not really in it, you have to move them on and get players that do want to. It sounds like a cliche, doesn't it? But they want to fight for the club, like Mbeumo or Cunha. They come in and do a much better job.
No, I agree. Let's get in our predictions, because this is gonna. I think we've already got chats talking about this topic, so I want to get to that topic. I want to get people's predictions first, and we'll give it another. Are you guys able to stay another 10 minutes or 15 minutes or so?
Yeah,
10.
Folks are enjoying the topic, but Rich, I'll start off with you. What's your predictions for the game?
Score prediction we're going for now.
Yes, sir. Sorry, score prediction. And
this is difficult, isn't it? Because I'm fighting my optimism here and just thinking this is going to be a difficult one. This is difficult because I genuinely don't know what to expect from Newcastle. Because when we played you early in the season, I think we were quite fortunate to win, and our lineup was like it was a sort of lineup we'd never put out. Like, it was just such a bizarre lineup from AFCON and injuries and things. I'm thinking this game is going to be either 1-1 or 2-1. I think we could nick it, but we have to play really well defensively. But it could go either way. But I would say 1-1, 2-1. Hopefully we're on the right side of that one. But I think it's going to be quite a close one.
Goal scorers?
Oh, goal scorers. That's a good one. If you stop Bruno, then I kind of fancy Cunha to get a goal. He's probably due one, and maybe Sesko. A lot of people are telling me Sesko's going to score, but I think it's probably going to be like you alluded to earlier on in the stream. All our goals are coming from those four players, aren't they? And Bruno Fernandes is more the creator. So, I mean, I'd probably say Mbeumo, Cunha, Sesko, two of those maybe score. And from a Newcastle perspective, I'm not sure your most likely goal threat is. Maybe Woltemade gets on the score sheet. I know he's not been quite so good recently, is he?
He's
or
off sick.
Is it a team thing?
He's off sick.
Is he not playing?
Yeah, he's not playing.
It doesn't look like it.
Okay, that's even better news then. Maybe Tonali, maybe Tonali scores. So he scored a nice goal in the FA Cup. I did watch that match. That one was lucky, but the second goal was pretty good strike. And from distance, I think you're gonna. I'm hoping that your shots are mainly from distance. We've been like decent defensively recently. I know someone in the comments said United will we do concede chances, but we have been conceding, I would say, more chances from distance rather than we're actually a little bit more stable. And I think we'd respect your team. We're probably going to be quite defensive early on.
You defend your box really well, very aggressive.
Do you remember actually, in terms of like a prediction for the game? Do you remember the Arsenal-Manchester United game where I don't think we're allowed to touch the ball for about 30 minutes as Arsenal passed around us, but we just kind of like just stayed in our penalty area and just went, okay, we'll just wait for you to give up, Arsenal, and then the game will start. But I think it might be like that. That we're not going to. I think we're going to be conscious we don't lose the game early on, and maybe look to grow into the game. So I'm hoping that's how it goes. I wouldn't actually mind a draw, but I think we should be trying to sneak a win. Like we haven't won there for a while. It'd be nice to do that.
I'm surprised that you guys are so nervous because I was saying to Mitch earlier, there's other Man United fans that are like, they're like, oh, we're like said the same thing as we're due a loss. Da, 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 da. Maybe because I'm off the other one. Like you said, you're fighting optimism. I'm fighting a little bit of pessimism. But Mitch, what's your predictions?
Newcastle by 2 for me.
Okay.
Going 3-1.
You're going for 3-1 Newcastle.
3-1, yeah.
Wow. Who's the goal scorers?
I reckon Joe Linton gets one. Joe Linton, Willock, Wisser.
Okay. I'm like, it's mad, especially when I watch the game second round. I think Man United are in very, very good form. For me, I even have them as favourites, to be honest. If Newcastle win, it will probably be a very narrow 2-1 victory. What I hope to see is a draw. If at the very least, if we don't lose, I'm going to go for a 2-1 win for Newcastle. Because that's very much my heart saying that. My heart saying it. I think I can't ignore the Premier League form and everything else. And watching it, it's I know Eddie Howe said, to be fair, they had more training sessions and everything else like that. Hopefully that's been rectified. But Man United also on very, very good form, and you've got 4 players that got like 10 to 15 GA between them. It's insane. So it's going to be very hard for us to keep them out, in my opinion. But hopefully we'll get it over the line.
I think we tend to play better against better opposition, if that makes sense. We seem to be a bit more locked in. So this season, we've won at Anfield, we've won at Arsenal, beaten City, and those are games where we put our best performances of the season. And I think Manchester United will look at Newcastle as being one of the more difficult games because you've got a lot of quality. And I think actually most of the games as well, if you're looking at stats and things, when United don't have as much possession, we're actually a lot more effective. So we're actually quite good on that one. So I don't know, it's an interesting one though. I think it's going to be
I agree.
A bit unpredictable.
I agree. Just to finish up with the chat, Aaron says Isak is no excuse for how the season transpired or the Isak situation.
Wolves have just gone 2-1 up against Liverpool, by the way.
Really?
Do you know, like, I'm only saying that because I looked about 20 minutes ago and Wolves had no attacking metrics. Like literally none. No XG, no shots on target, no shots, nothing. Like no attempts outside of the box, inside of the box. They had nothing.
Almost finished, doesn't it?
It's mental.
This game, Premier League is brutal. I don't care what anybody
says. As a Man United fan, that's like perfect news. It almost like that's a minor win already.
Already, exactly. So it says that Isak for the season is no excuse. We had time to rectify it and spent 250 million. Either way, we look like it's been a season of disappointment. I don't know if I look at the Isak situation as an excuse. Like it's what happened, and it's what's happened on top of a sporting director literally leaving the day before transfer window. Eddie Howe being hauled back from his holiday and trying to get together money together, not money together, to get the recruitment team together, who've also been pulled back from their holiday. Then you've also got the situation with our Saudi owners where it was difficult to get like sign off for players, where João Pedro lined up, but didn't get the sign off. We had various other players lined up to get a sign off. The Isak situation just made things worse. It made things public. It made that, every time we glanced that forward, the price would rise up by 10 million. It was
do you think that as well? That the amount of money last summer, we were looking at trying to buy Mbeumo, and Cunha had a release clause to it was like a set price, but we bought Mbeumo for 65 plus add-ons. And what I saw is over the course of the window, then Gittins went for 60, Alanga was 60, Wisdom was quite low, and I thought the prices just went up and up and up. And I was like, just get Mbeumo done, and Mbeumo started feeling cheap.
I'm glad that you saw that, because that's what we call inflation, inflation of prices. So they, 50 million became the new 30 million, but they knew our situation because Isak made it very, very public, and he put the club in. We just won the League Cup. We qualified for the Champions League, and Isak goes and throws everybody under the bus with this whole situation. And so, yeah, I don't see it necessarily as an excuse, Aaron. I just see it as this is what's happened, and this is what happened to our transfer window. My hope is we've got the infrastructure in place, we've got the players in place, the money in place. I hope all our players stay, but if they don't, then I hope that we move on quickly.
I'm a little bit confused of this season's a disappointment comment as well. Like,
I didn't see that.
The league season is. That was on the end of Aaron's comment. He said either way you look at it, the season's disappointment. We're still in the Champions League and we're in March. We're still in the FA Cup. We're in March. We got knocked out by Man City in the League Cup. That's not when who do some of these fans think Newcastle actually are? And where have we been over the last 20 years? That's a good season. We're just not as good in the league this year, but everywhere else we're doing all right.
And I always tell people when we won the League Cup, and we hadn't bought a first team player for 18 months, free transfer windows because of PSR. So every time they keep on bringing this, that's Pep Guardiola had to spend 600 million in 2 transfer windows just to keep up pace with Arsenal. Can Pep Guardiola win the league with not spending any money on a first team player for free transfer windows? I'm not saying Eddie Howe's as good as him, but that's the situation at the end of the day for players as well. Big up to you, Mitch, man. Great to have you on the show, man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Pleasure to meet you, mate.
No, nice to meet you, and hopefully, we score more than 1 goal if you guys score 3.
Right, catch you later, guys.
God bless you, sir. James says Eddie is likely lying through. That's why I put him on my list. What list? That sounds scary. That sounds ominous. Yeah,
don't put us on the list.
Don't put us on the list.
A good list, to be honest.
Raymond says,
I think
go on.
I think a lot of fans get frustrated with their clubs. A lot of Man United fans rightly frustrated because we've got really bad owners. And I've been trying to our owners are rubbish. I'm not going to argue with that. But I think behind the scenes, like Ineos as an organisation, people don't like because of Jim Radcliffe. But I think a lot of people at Manchester United just branch everybody into like one group. Whereas I think Vivell, who's in charge of scouting, or actually in charge of player recruitment, is like doing a really good job. I think the scouts are doing very well behind the scenes, identifying good players. And I think that United are actually recruiting well, like for players like Aiden Heaven, very cheap, Dorgu, Yoro. There's loads of examples recently, but it takes time, doesn't it? Like I think you remember when Man City got the money, it took years to actually be a competitive team despite spending a lot of money. And we've seen Arsenal, it took them about 4 years of heavy spending to get to where they are now. And I think United was doing it from a position where, unfortunately, our squad at the moment, we had loads of players that were a bit too old. And what we've done is we've bought players that are maybe a little bit young, but you kind of need to start somewhere. And it feels like we started in the right place about 18 months ago, and it just takes time to filter through to the first team. People told me when we signed Dorgu, they're like, "What? Who's this guy? Why aren't we buying?" And I was saying, like, he'll be good in a couple of years' time, and he's probably got better quicker. But I think it's for me as a Manchester United fan, the fact we were moving in the right direction was positive. I think I was probably a bit generous towards Amorim to start with, and then after he's left, I kind of like, do you know when you look at, you do the formations like we did tonight, and you put your team into that formation. And I was looking at Man United early on in the season, 3-4-2-1, and myself and a couple of regular guests, we were going, right, this is what we're going to see on the pitch. We don't like it, and we just like rearranged our team into a 3-2, so into a 4-2-3-1, and we're like, wow, this actually looks good. You got players in the right position, you got bench options, you got flexibility, and I was thinking this looks way better, like way better. And I know we're not experts, but it feels like Michael Carrick's come in, and it's almost like we've got one of us in there, and Michael Carrick's doing exactly what we want. That's why I think that for myself and a few people I know closely on my channel, we're really happy with what's going on, and we just want to see more of it. I can't believe Wolves have won, though. That's hilarious. Do you know what that sums up? The Premier League is so unpredictable and so deep. Like you got like Wolves have beaten Aston Villa and Liverpool, and they're probably getting relegated. And they're actually our best ally at the moment. They're taking care of the teams we're fighting against.
And Arsenal, they drew with Arsenal. They drew with Arsenal as well. That's crazy.
Yeah, they scored right at the end, didn't they, to draw with Arsenal? Can you imagine that? That as a Wolves fan, you're probably thinking we're probably getting relegated, but what's going on? Where was this like 6 months ago?
When you got nothing to lose, it's like, all right, let's do it now, isn't it? But folks, you've been absolutely amazing. You're as always sticking with us way over 2 hours. But you've been liking, sharing, subscribing. You've been up in the comments, absolutely phenomenal as always. I just had a comment here that made me scared for a minute. Raymond, I think the way you worded this made me like go on Google whilst Rich was talking, because you said, "Hi Toon, Philip, how are you? Eddie Howe sacked from Newcastle United." When I was like, "What?" Now and De Zerbi appointment as the manager, I'm like, did this happen whilst we're on the show? That would be insane. I was all like wriggling through the Google while
do
you
you think
talking.
though? Is Eddie Howe at risk at all, or do you think it's because for United fans, we're at the moment where I think our owners are looking for a replacement for Michael Carrick, but we don't know what's going to happen next season. But as the season goes on, I know a few rival fans. Actually, a Newcastle fan joined my stream. I'd never seen the account before, and they said, if Carrick's not a Man United manager, we'll take him. This was obviously their view. And Spurs fans told me about a month ago before we played them, when they still had Thomas Frank. They said, we'll take Carrick. And there's a few noises around. Like I think Michael Carrick, if he doesn't get the job at United, I think he'll find somewhere. But what's the situation with Newcastle? Because I know you said the season's okay, but there's people in the comments saying this is disappointing. I think it's like the expectation rises, doesn't it? That you get Champions League football, but it's just it causes problems itself as well.
No, I agree with you, Rich. In terms of Eddie Howe, I always say for me, there's always going to be pressure. Like either way you look at it, you're managing top flight Premier League team, Champions League now, and that's what it is. For me, it's always want the best for Newcastle United, and in my opinion, Eddie Howe at the moment is the best for Newcastle United. I personally think he's an elite manager. If you look at the fact that Newcastle have been, for instance, if you see our league places in comparison to our wages, for instance, wages are a good kind of indicator of where your league position should be. He's always performed 2 or 3 places above that. So I think that's absolutely phenomenal. That lets you know that he does very well with the resources that he has. And every time we add more resources, he tends to do better with it. It's very hard to find a player. People keep on looking at Elanga, for instance. But apart from Elanga, for who's only played less than 1,200 minutes for Newcastle, most of our transfers have been very, very good. I like our style of play. I do think we've been unlucky with injuries, for instance. In the last 5 years under Eddie Howe, we've seen multiple Champions Leagues. We've seen multiple semi-finals, finals, cups as well. So for me, it's not even about him it's not even about, give him another year because done well before. I still think he's doing well now. But he has been let down by the transfer window. He's been unlucky with injuries. I do see, it's a little bit like how Liverpool fans talked about Jurgen Klopp in the early days, and maybe Arsenal fans, Arteta. Like, I don't like losing, but I can see some good parts. I can see what the manager's trying to do. So maybe
it sounds a little bit like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer when he got sacked, because he finished top 4 twice, got to the Europa League final, got to FA Cup, was it semi-final or final? But so he got really close. And in his 3rd season, he got sacked when he was in 7th place. So after what happened with the last couple of managers, it wasn't that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did really badly, but he was let down quite a lot with the transfer windows at the time. But there wasn't much patience for him then. But I think it's just because United had a lot of other issues going on. But I think with Eddie Howe, that you're in a much better position than you were.
So he's like, so he is our first manager since the takeover. So I look at it as a blank sheet. You're right, exactly it. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came off on the back of 7, 8 managers in a row type of thing, and all the baggage from that. So if anything, for instance, maybe that's why the likes of Amorim got more time than maybe you would have given.
Yeah, I think so. I think he got more time because Ineos were looking more medium term with like younger signings. And I know like with Michael Carrick, I think with Michael Carrick, my summary of him would be, I think he might be maybe the best option for Manchester United in the short term because he's a very stable force. Like if you're looking at Michael Carrick, you wouldn't. Now people might say, "Oh, is Michael Carrick going to win the Champions League?" When like I don't know if he is going to, but I know he's not going to finish like 15th. I know he's not going to be finishing 10th. I know he's going to have the team set up and get the best out of certain players. And I just think this is a massive window for us, like transfer window. So again, it's a gamble. If he finishes third, it'd be really difficult, wouldn't it, to go like the best position we finished for a few years. Let's replace him with somebody else, and
It depends on your vision.
better.
Because I was thinking about this, and apologies, folks, I'll run it, but this is a great conversation. I was gonna add to that, Rich, is the only okay, not the only reason. How do I put it? Yes, it would be difficult for a manager to not keep a manager who finishes third, but it would only be difficult, or one of the reasons it would be difficult is if the club, whoever's in charge, doesn't have a clear vision or picture of where they want to be. So if you have a vision for where you want to be, then you'll know the manager that you really, really want. And you can say no to certain managers in the most difficult situations, which is a manager finishing third, he deserves to stay. Does that make sense? So if you really have a vision, a long term.
I think this one, I'm just wondering whether, considering what's happened, I know that people can say you could pick a manager and go, right, this is the best manager out there. The question I've got is, that might be the best manager at Paris Saint-Germain, might be the best manager at Madrid or Barcelona. But if that manager comes in, that you've also got to assume that with all the best will in the world, we might have a nice short list of targets. We might not get them. And I'm just wondering whether if we got someone like a Luis Enrique or a Nagelsmann, make sure at least you tailor the squad to what they need. Because at the moment, Michael Carrick is working with what he's got. And I think if managers come in, and I do agree with what you're saying, if there's a clear vision of what they want and the style of play, and because I think with Amarin, you can look at our squad, look at what Amarin wanted, and it was just a no, never going to work. That's never going to work. But no, I think it's not a bad problem to have, though, is it? That if you've got one manager that can get you third, and you're looking at bringing in an elite manager, it's not a bad situation.
You could be in worse positions for sure. You could be in worse positions for sure.
We should definitely be in worse positions. I look at Spurs.
All right, folks, you've been absolutely phenomenal as always. I want to say a big thank you to yourself, Rich. Rich, where can folks find you?
People can find me on Red Devil United on my YouTube channel, which I'm there pretty regularly, at least once or twice a day. Usually it's like 1 p.m., like a lunchtime stream, and then something in the evening. But tomorrow night we'll be doing. We usually go as well as we're obviously a Manchester United channel. We do a little bit of general stuff, but it's generally based around the club. And then when it comes to like tomorrow, we'll be like doing a watch long, but we'll do a match reaction to every match. So yeah, if Manchester United win, then I guess it might not be appealing. But if Manchester United lose, then feel free to come in and get. But also, we do a lot of news streams as well, which again, it's like say Tonali, Bruno, and like today previews. So rival fans are always welcome because sometimes you just get a different perspective, which makes you think, which I do like as well. I like to hear different views. And it's always good. Like these sort of things are great for me because I've just been like finding out information from you guys, finding out what you think about your transfer strategy, our transfer strategy, and that kind of all feeds back into things I can talk about because it's just all interesting, isn't it? What people think.
No, absolutely not. Guys, I highly
also,
recommend.
Philip, I should say thank you very much for the invite. I really enjoyed it. It's always great to chat with people that want to go into detail and look and talk about football. Always fun.
The privilege is all mine. Got absolutely phenomenal channel, guys. You heard the depth of knowledge that Rich has about Man United, but also about football as well. We had an incredible conversation. But I want to thank you guys. Been watching nearly for 2.5 hours, which is phenomenal. Been liking, you've been sharing, you've been subscribing, you've been putting your thoughts. You've been sending your formations, your score predictions. You guys have all been absolutely phenomenal. And we're going to be back on Thursday, hopefully with possibly, yeah, hopefully with Bobby Fairview, we're going to be looking at Newcastle's finances. We are going to be Newcastle are due to be releasing their financial accounts on tomorrow. So we want to be able to see. Hopefully, we've broken that 400 million pound revenue, which Man United broke about 20 years ago. But it's all new for us. So it's new.
I think we did something about 2 weeks ago. I didn't do anything particularly, but I think our revenue was about 660 or something. But it's only this year actually we started making a profit. We were making a loss. So again, I think the financial rules are going to change somewhat, which might benefit you guys. I don't know if that benefits, but it'll benefit
big time.
us. But it's going to benefit profitable clubs, and I think you'll get more profitable. So you'd assume you benefit as well.
No, big time. It's going to benefit us big time. So hopefully we'll be discussing that on Thursday. But as always, folks, make sure you look after each other, and God bless you, folks.
Brilliant from Schär. And now Murphy could take on the shot. Fabian Schär.